Oh my goodness, this is going to be a primetime gaming that I don't think anyone's going to forget. Welcome to this week's show. I am your host, Mr. Boomstick XL, and as you can tell in the excitement in my voice, Xbox and gamers across the world are cheering in the streets. We have confirmation of the Xbox Series X from Digital Foundry, and of course, Austin Evans, who was also flown out there. And actually, I gotta be honest with you, really enjoyed his video even more so than Digital Foundry. And the reason why that isn't because Digital Foundry isn't the creme de la creme, if you will, when it comes to tech talk. They really they appeal to the people who understand it, the ins and outs, the bolts, the circuits and everything, where Austin, on the other hand, really broke it down for, I guess, into layman terms and made it fun. So I highly encourage you to check out those videos, but we have a stacked panel, and I want to get into that so we can get right into, of course, the topics of this evening. First up, you know him as being our inside man to everything GameStop. He is my brother from another mother. He is one of the community's finest, and his content is second to none, especially when he challenges slow-mo backslap. Please welcome Gaming Forte.
Yo, what's up, man? You know, just out here trying to find a way to sit at home and not have to work for the next 4 weeks, you know, but it's good out here, man. It's slicking these systems. Xbox is doing very, very well. I can only imagine the news that came out today just fueled it even more, man. So I'm super happy to be able to actually talk about what is actually in the box versus what we think is in the box.
Yeah, this is, again, it's gonna be, listen, I cannot wait to get into the topics. I have such a spiel written, it's unbelievable. Let me continue on with the introductions. Of course, you know him as the man who backs down from no challenge. He is so strong in the force that he has an entire empire at his will and beck and call, someone that I enjoy working with on a regular basis on both shows that he is on. Please welcome the rowdy and very opinionated So Shady.
Against all the narratives the zealots can conjure, all the clickbait articles the biased media can produce, we will send unto them the Series X. My God, Boom! What a way to wake up today. Twitter and YouTube is dropping bombs like I was not expecting. Guys are throwing around 25 teraflops all over the place. I couldn't believe the reveals today. It's fantastic. Let's get into it, man.
Oh, listen, thank you for being here as always. And next up, our resident Cape Crusader, someone who hit the bat signal the minute that the news dropped that the Xbox Series X numbers were official. Please welcome Cybernox.
What's going on, everybody? Glad to be here. It's not like we have anything to talk about today, you know, but I'm ready to get going on these topics. I'm extremely excited. Xbox is killing it. Let's go.
Oh, yes. Listen, dude, it's going to be a great show, of course. And next up, someone who took the time, actually found the time to hang out with me during the middle of the day and really break down with an incredible special edition of the Xbox Factor podcast. You know him as our resident assassin, our resident Resident Evil fan. Please welcome Tempest Sun.
What's up, Boom? What's up, panel? Good to be here, guys. Yeah, I had some fun earlier today on the surprise stream because we were surprised. You know, Phil Dominus Maximus, big, long, huge Xbox Spencer. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he came out and just slapped everybody real dang hard, and it was awesome. So
yeah, I think what he has done, as a leader of the brand, has been nothing short of monumental, and this is just another feather in the cap to who I believe is the correct guy to be running the show. And actually, let's get to our special guest now. This gentleman is making his debut not only on Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends, he's making his first appearance on the Double Barrel Gaming YouTube channel, leader and content creator, producer of Bad Bit Games, on his way to 5K subs. Please welcome Mr. Bad Bit.
Hi guys, yeah, hi, welcome, yeah, Mr. Badbit here from Bad Bit Games. We're talking about all game news and reviews, and the host of the Trophy Room of PlayStation podcast on YouTube, on iTunes, on Google Play, wherever you get your RSS feed services. I'm there, and this is a very, very different show because, again, I'm more of a PlayStation quote unquote guy. We made plans of me being on here before all this Xbox news, so I'm super thrilled to talk all this tech with y'all.
Well, listen, it's great to have you. And of course, I have been asked by numerous people within the community to have more PlayStation focused gamers on. And of course, I'm trying to answer the call because in my opinion, your opinion matters. And I think we're going to have a great show. So let's get right into it. Now, as we get closer, I should say, to the next generation, it appears, in my opinion, that both Microsoft and Sony are moving in opposite directions, with Microsoft completely taking over brand and next generation mindshare. Many in the PlayStation community are waiting for Sony to say and do something. Now, in what many in the gaming industry are calling a wave of new information, this is where I call it a tsunami of Xbox information that dropped today. Another Monday, another ton of Xbox news. Another Monday, another bomb dropped by Redmond and Phil Spencer. And what's interesting and what's exciting about this information is that it's no longer theory or speculation. It is hashtag facts. And we're going to break that down right now. Now, thanks to both Digital Foundry and Microsoft, we now know a ton more regarding the actual power of the next generation Xbox console, and to say that it's powerful would be in no way, shape, or form considered an understatement. Some, including myself, would consider it almost an injustice. Now, as discussed on an earlier episode of today's special edition Xbox Factor podcast that happened this afternoon, Microsoft has once again done the impossible. The gaming mindshare spotlight is securely on the Xbox brand, and I think Phil Spencer and company like it that way. Not only is this incredible news, it completely broadsides Sony and continues the onslaught of positive and informative Xbox news, and it appears there's no end in sight. The new and bold ideology is working for Team Green, and they should not take their foot off the gas again, in my opinion. Now, I have to go to the panel because obviously they have a lot to say. Now, Shady, I have to go to you first, okay? Simply because you, my friend, have a lot to say. Now, obviously, I'm going to break down the exact specs that were put out there. Now, I'm going to try and do it in a way that everyone understands because I'm just reading verbatim from the article, but then I want to hear Shady's breakdown of these ridiculous specs. The CPU has been confirmed as being 8 times cores with the 3.8 gigahertz. Okay, and that's coming from the custom Zen 2 CPU. Now, the GPU, which we already knew was 12 teraflops, is running 52 CUs when it was originally thought to be running 56. And supposedly, they're still in there. They're just deactivated. And that's running at the 18.25 gigahertz custom RDNA 2 GPU. The die size is 360.45 MMM2. And the processor is the 7 nanometer enhanced. Now, this is where it gets good, folks. The memory is the 16 gigabyte GDDR6 with the 320 megabyte bus. The memory bandwidth is 10 gigabytes. The internal storage is the 1 terabyte custom NVMe SSD, which, if you remember, a couple of weeks ago, we talked about this. The so-called insiders said that the Microsoft Xbox Series X would be using old parts, making it slower than the PS5. That has been debunked. The IO throughput is 2.5 gigabytes raw, and it can go as high as 4.8 gigabytes compressed with custom hardware decompression block. Now, this is where it gets even more interesting. It has been confirmed that it has expandable storage in the form of a 1 terabyte expansion card that's no bigger than a matchbook. Now, the question that everyone is going to be asking is how much? I'm thinking 100. Some people are thinking higher, but we will definitely get into that. The external storage, it does use the USB 3.2 external HDD source of support. But just so you know, next-gen games will need to run off of the new SSD drive. So I don't know how that's going to be a problem for some people. I'm just going to move games around just like you would in your library and your shelf. I don't think it's a big deal, but let me continue. The optical drive is, of course, what you get in the Xbox One X right now, the 4K UHD Blu-ray drive. And the performance target is 4K 60 FPS up to as much as 120 FPS. Now, Shady, hearing all these numbers, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not a tech guy, and I tune into other YouTubers to get all the tech information that, maybe I just don't understand as much. But I do understand everything I just read simply because I watched a ton of videos and I have been, schooling myself to get more acclimated with what the numbers actually mean. And I have to tell you, every one of these numbers screams quality. Every one of these numbers screams next generation. And every one of these numbers confirmed today by Digital Foundry makes me a very excited and happy Xbox gamer. What are your thoughts?
My God, I mean, the numbers were coming fast and furious today, and I gotta be honest, I'm not the biggest tech guy myself. Like, I'm familiar with a lot of the terms, but not necessarily the deep dive definitions about some of them. I'm aware that something like RDNA 2 is obviously better than just RDNA and better than the stuff that we have now in our systems. Like, I know a little bit, so a lot of this was just way outside of my pay grade. We're splitting up memory pools. We got bandwidth XYZ and stuff like that. But what did tell me that these were good numbers that I was hearing was when I was watching Digital Foundry, they were both sitting there with like shit-eating grins the entire time.
Didn't they have a nervous laugh when they were talking about it? You know that kind of nervous laugh when you kind of know the Christmas gift that you're just about to open, but you got to pretend like you don't know? That's what they seem like to me.
It was, and almost the entire time, no matter what spec they were talking about, just their impression was, this is big. This wasn't like, and we expected this, or it was run-of-the-mill, or I wish that was more. Every single time it was, my God, they're just, the look on their face, the tone of their voice, they were excited, just pulling the console apart and seeing what it was made of and being able to piece it back together and slide it in. They've never seen a console design like that before, and they were just impressed all around, which had me very impressed. Like, they're throwing around numbers like, hey, you can run your game and it's doing its normal 12 teraflop thing, but then because we offshoot the ray tracing to the two cores on the side or what have you, those are doing the equivalent of 13.5 teraflops of ray tracing work. So kind of from a certain point of view, Obi-Wan style, you're looking at a 25 teraflop monster machine. I almost fell out of my chair. Just like, what? Again, maybe I'm a little bit incorrect here, but it sounds like it's doing the equivalent of its normal 12 teraflops and then a 13.5 teraflop equivalency on the side because it's hardware based. But if they were emulating it software based, it would take 13.5. Like, some of those details were just kind of outside of my understanding, but just everyone's reaction was enough for me to also be excited. Like, this is what I want to hear without knowing all the 100% specifics, if you will. Just the tech guys are hyped about it and blown away. Kind of like, my God, we had no idea this was coming. The only time my eyebrow raised, and not in the good way, like, whoa, was with the SSD being the external, and you needed it. And I was kind of like, as everyone said, what are those going to cost? Having to buy an external of some variety, I kind of wrap into part of the package. I had to do it this gen. The internal was nowhere near enough space for me within months of owning an Xbox One. So I had to spend a couple $100 for this gen's. So to have to do it again next gen, I think is fine. I just hope that I'm not needing, 2, 3, 4 of these things. This is not going to be an everyone problem either. Some people don't buy a lot of games. Some people are fine playing it and then deleting a game. I like to keep my games on, as many as I can. If I know for a fact I'm not going to go back, I delete them. But I have hundreds of games on my external right now. And maybe again, it's a me problem, but if this thing only takes 5 to 10 minutes to transfer something big like a Modern Warfare, so as long as it's really, really fast, it'll be okay. But I know for a fact that I'm the kind of guy where I'm in the mood to play a game, and back on the 360 days, the time it took for me to get up off the couch, walk to the shelf, and reach for that game, I've already looked at other games, my mind has thought other things, and I've talked myself out of it. Like I just fall out of the mood so insanely fast at times. So if I want to play it now, but I've got to wait 10 minutes to transfer, yeah, it's not a great thing, but I understand like the speed associated with mandating that it be this type of drive and this type of drive only is going to be fantastic. We're not going to have guys plugging in dirt cheap SSDs from God knows where on the planet, expecting the same stuff when we're playing multiplayer. On these next gen only games, all of our maps will load at the same time, so you're not waiting on older stuff. Like I can see the positives for sure, but I was just the slightest bit concerned that, hey, a 1 terabyte internal, I know for a fact isn't enough for me. And if they're selling these things in chunks of ones outside, I just hope they're not super expensive. And beyond all that, I do hope that transfer speed between your standard externals and these SSDs is just lightning quick. That would be awesome. If I could transfer Modern Warfare, which is over 100 gig in like 5 minutes, then forget everything I've been talking about. The worries are over, right?
Well, could I interrupt you for 1 sec?
Yeah, sure.
I want to ease your worries here. Again, I'm the PlayStation guy. I should be stoking the fear of God into you. But I actually got this from the Wired article from PlayStation when Mark Cerny was talking about their SSD and how SSD works is you're copying that one file once. When you're using a standard hard drive, because there's a disk moving, you actually have to copy some things 4, 5, 6 times over. So the file size of these games, I know like we're all scared because we saw Call of Duty Warzone's, it's like 96 gig download. That's going to be dramatically reduced because it's an SSD.
Okay, so I've got a ton of standard externals now that I could put a new next-gen game and store them on there, which they said we could do. We can keep our new games there. We just can't play them from it. So if I can just
have to move them.
Not move it, but copy it, so it's only ever going to the SSD direction as opposed to then you have to copy it back, if you will. You can just delete it off your SSD when you're done with it, and if you want to, you copy it back again from your master copy on your old versions. But everything sounded just absolutely phenomenal. There's a couple things even in that Digital Foundry video that I haven't heard anyone else say, and they sounded blown away, which was that the Series X chip, when they put it into like the xCloud racks, one Series X can actually be turned into 4 Xbox S's and run 4 different games. And I was instantaneously like, wow, like we can stream games in our own houses from our console that's sitting here in our living room. Is it possible that our own Series X that we own could potentially stream 4 current gen games to, 3 of your buddies or 4 of your buddies that were to come over? And I just thought that was insane. The fact that they could even do that in the blades for xCloud, it tells me that they're going to do everything they can to get Series X's into that xCloud server base as fast as possible. One, they can now have 1 device turning into 4 for people. But beyond that, they can start offering higher quality streams if they wanted to start charging literally to use xCloud for 4K streaming or HDR or 60 frames, similar to what Stadia is doing. You pay for the premium. Later on, they have the free tier coming out. Maybe they can do that. But I thought that was really neat that one Series X can essentially turn into 4 modern Xbox S's. I was, wow. And then when they were talking about the controller real quick, there was a moment there where he slipped and actually said, when we get our hands on the controller for the Series X, and instantly the guys in the comments too were like time-stamping that, like, oh, it looks like they got their hands on the console that none of us are supposed to know about and stuff. And I really think that they did see it as well. They probably did get to play around with that.
Thing, Shady, to that point, I'm glad you brought that up because I kind of did the, you know what I'm saying? You're not going to get me in the banana in the tailpipe again. That's my thought, okay? And what's interesting And what has been floating around in very, very dark circles in the last couple of hours is that something may in fact be happening tomorrow on top of the Wednesday and Thursday game stack events that have already been put out there. So I am going to be waiting by the interwebs very early in the AM to make sure that if something does go down, you can rest assured there'll be another special edition.
That's right. Like I was certainly piqued when I heard that little mishap by them and say
it was a mishap, and it
like,
makes,
oh.
or
like doing podcasts and we're sitting here talking about 1Xs, Series X's, Xboxes. Like it does happen a little oops. And it could just be as simple as that as well. But I do honestly think that this is a real system. And they got their hands on it and got to see it. And we're going to hear about it ourselves pretty soon as well. But all we have left is like the price and when the sucker's coming out. And then it's just games and games. Like not only have we seen the console, we've technically seen a couple of games with Hellblade and Everwild and stuff like that. We're going to be on it. Halo. Not only that, but we've had a full system teardown in the hands of some tech experts months, like half a year before this thing is out. This is unheard of.
Actually, 8 months before.
Like, absolutely unheard of. To say that Xbox, to say they're going bold is an understatement. I think they're coming out guns blazing and then some, man. Like I think they got the nukes. Phil's hand is on the button. He's ready to just blow us all truly away, man. And like, not to bring up any kind of, fanboyness, but like, where the hell is Sony when we have all of this already and nothing from Sony? I don't want to hear anything about Last of Us 2 is coming in. It doesn't matter. When I go to Twitter or anything else, social media, the super, super extreme Sony guys, they want the info. They're slobbering for it. Like they want it.
Guys, and I want the info.
That's right.
So like pre-order.
This is a next gen system we're talking about here. People want to know. Sony's silence is beyond deafening at this point. It's almost frightening.
The only thing that I can
shell shocked.
I think so. As a Sony guy, and I know a little bit.
Actually, let me jump to you if you don't mind.
Sure, go for it.
I was going to call on you next anyway, but before I get to you, I just have to thank Masshole 1977 for the outstanding and very generous $5 super chat. He says this: the super chat is working. Boom, twice in one day. Thank you, kind sir. I greatly appreciate it. He said it's like getting the TD and the 2-point conversion with all this crap going on. Couldn't be better news. Yeah, well, thank you for hanging out, and also thank you for your generosity. And Ace Junkie Media with the outstanding $2 super chat. Thank you for being here, dude. And of course, your generosity. He says, boom and panel, who guys always do amazing show. Well, thank you very much, Ace Junkie. We super appreciate the kind words. Now, first of all, I want to thank you for being here, Mr. Bad Bit, because I really, we again, it took us a little while to kind of figure out when we're going to get you on the show. We got you on the show. And look, I don't like calling people Xbox guys or gals or Sony guys or gals. You're a gamer, but you prefer Sony. And that's perfectly okay, the same way that I'm a gamer and I prefer Xbox. And I think that is perfectly okay. My question to you is, with today's information, there was a lot of it. And it seems as if they have a lot of information lined up for when we as gamers least expect it. This has been a very aggressive Microsoft. This we've seen now. This kind of behavior that we've seen, this aggressive type of behavior, was Sony throughout the entire generation. They had that in your face kind of marketing, which I absolutely loved, and they had the software to back it up. My question to you is, are you excited for the specs that were revealed today? But more importantly, on the back end, for the second part of the question, as a Sony first dude, do you have any concern as to why Sony just won't talk about anything?
So let me break this down. As again, we're all gamers here first.
Yes, we sure
platform are. After that, we're platform agnostic here. We don't care about the platforms necessarily, more so the games. And so,
yes,
as a Sony person who covers Sony, who knows their company pretty well, not going to say I'm an expert. The one thing that I am amazed by today is we could take all these numbers. To me, they don't mean anything. Okay. Like I see Sony fanboys and Xbox fanboys toss around teraflops like we're software engineers, like we're hardware engineers. At the end of the day, I couldn't give you the definition of a teraflop to save my life. All I know is games are going to look prettier, right?
Okay, yeah.
To me, the thing that excites me the most about Xbox today is that we're in your face. We're Xbox. We're different Xbox.
Yes.
Because the one turned me off and made me an Xbox guy, the launch. And to see Xbox make these strategic moves as a PR person, I'm loving it. Like, we did not expect them to drop the bomb that was showing off the console at the Game Awards.
Yeah.
We didn't expect it, and it happened, and it took everybody off guard. And then we're like, oh, probably that's it. That's only the, and then they drop Hellblade 2, Senua's Sacrifice or Saga. Amazing. Like, that trailer, I watch it like once a week and I'm just like, whoa. And then a few weeks afterwards, they dropped Project Mara, which is like this photorealistic, I thought it was actually real life, imagery. And so I'm excited. I'm excited for Xbox being bold and being gamer first rather than TV and football first. And so seeing them drop these nuggets of information for the hardcore audience is amazing, because this news, guys, is for you, right? Like, this should get the fan base excited and pumped to be an Xbox fan. That's awesome. And I'm excited because I love tech. And so, like, to see people freak out about like a Phil Spencer putting a CPU as his icon, like, and people freaking out about that makes me happy. I'm not gonna, crap on any of you for loving that. Love it. Love that thing. Seeing Xbox out here today going, we're going to bring Digital Foundry, who in the beginning of this generation was tearing us apart with, the side-by-sides, right? We're going to bring them on. We're going to show them this stuff. And we're going to bring on a YouTuber, Austin Evans. I know of him. I respect him. He's a credible source to me and not an Xbox guy at all. Bam, we're going to bring the tech people in here. They're going to break it apart for you. Awesome. And so the thing that gets me the most excited is not what I saw today. It's what I've been hearing from Xbox. Their messaging is on point. Now, on the other end, as a PlayStation, player, as a person who prefers that ecosystem, am I concerned about PlayStation? I would be lying to you if I was just like, all right, give me some news, because the thing that I'm getting tired of talking about is like the rumored specs.
Yeah.
Just show me the specs so we can all get over it. We can all make our memes. That's great. Like, just show me something. But am I going, Sony, this is it. Sony's done. Because no.
Yeah, I would agree with you right there. I would never utter that. You got to remember, and I'll let you continue in a second. If you look at, first of all, what I love about Sony, why I'm such a fan of their product is because I'm a much older gamer than many people in the chat, many people on this panel. I'm going to be 50 in September. So I got some years on me. These tires have been, they're a little worn on the edges, right? I am a selfish gamer. I prefer to sit down in my nice, comfortable leather couch and be enveloped into a story. And one thing about Sony's first party, for me, again, this is my opinion, and what I love about them is that I get really sucked into their story, because most of their games are single player, story driven, adult themed content that I prefer, which is why I buy all of their exclusives. It's why Horizon Zero Dawn, for me, is in my top 5 of the entire generation, because I love Aloy as a character. I love the world. I love Horizon Zero Dawn. I cannot wait for the second one. To your point, I don't think I would ever say, man, Sony's in big trouble. They're on the, that's it. To pack it in, sell the company. But I do have to say that as someone that has already put $5 bills away for both the Series X and, of course, the PlayStation 5, I find it very odd that they went from in your face, like kick the sand in your face, Sony. 1080p makes you a better gamer, right? Remember that? This is how you trade games. This was the marketing genius that they were. And I say were because, man, they don't have anything to show us. And I got to be honest with you. I'm not saying they're in trouble, but I am getting a bit frustrated.
Oh, yeah, I don't think their silence means they're in trouble. I just think it means they don't have the power crown on anything. Now that everything is out on Xbox's side, any of those numbers are bigger on Sony's side. One tweet saying, we have more RAM. we load faster, or we
Yeah.
do this more, or we're more than 12. That's all it takes, and the fan base would go ballistic. So their silence to me just means that they don't have the power narrative at all anymore. That's all. Not doom and gloom, not we're done. Just
Well, I don't even
as far as
think
that goes, they have nothing to say.
I don't think it's that, because they still look, one day they're still going to have to come out and go, hey guys, 9.2 teraflops, right? Like they're still going to have to me, as again, I'm a marketing PR guy. Something happened with what the only way that this makes sense to me is when they said we're not going to E3, we're playing
hundreds of events.
Yeah, we're going to do all these different group of events. And I think what has happened right now has thrown them in a flux. And now they're probably making a state of play instead of a live event. That's what I'm kind of thinking. That's what I hate to say hoping to, but that's what I'm hoping to.
That'd be interesting. Like I would think, again, if they had a 13 teraflop, 13.3 is the new number getting tossed around by a lot of guys.
Yeah.
Right after that Digital Foundry video went up, if I was Sony, I just would have tweeted 14 teraflops, and that's
honest
it.
to God,
it's small things like that. It's numbers that's so easy that if they have the higher number, they could say it right now and just win in that aspect.
And that's because they probably don't have that number.
Yeah,
right?
that's my point. Is I just don't think they have the higher numbers this round.
To me, in all honesty, just rip the Band-Aid off. But at the same exact time,
yeah, I agree. That's a great point, dude.
Especially if they do that, they got their software coming up. That's probably gonna freaking overshadow.
And that's the thing is show the software that is what is driving me to purchase your console. That's the thing. Like, what I love about the Xbox Series X so far is the fact that they're just like, yeah, we get it. Our console looks like a fridge. And they'll put a meme up and they'll memeify it going, yeah, we think this is silly too, but silly in a cool way, you know?
Yeah.
So the one thing that I don't count PlayStation out just yet.
No,
the reason why I say that
you could. Yeah, I don't think you could.
No, I think anybody that's like, I want PlayStation dead or Xbox dead doesn't get the bigger picture of things. These are both billion-dollar companies. They're going to be fine no matter what happens. So, like, for example, PlayStation is 1/3 of the profits that Sony overall makes. Correct. So one thing that they're taking into account is that they have to get the wording right 110%.
Smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, they won this generation, quote unquote. No one won or lost or whatever, but units sold. They have a huge marketplace of gamers right now. They want to make sure that they're going to get the right message out there. And if anybody can do it, it is Jim Tap Dancing Ryan, because this is a man who, in charge, was able to sell a PlayStation 3.
Yep.
And not just sell a PlayStation 3, because those consoles were pretty much unsellable. They were awful for so long. But he was able to make PlayStation 3 the dominant force in Europe.
He sure did. Yeah.
Through business, I think Jim Tap Dancing Ryan is getting his dance shoes ready. And also understand, most of the casual audience or even the fan base, we're going to get ready. The PR machine and marketing machine boots up at around June, July. That's when you're going to see the big marketing push. That's when you're going to see these things on commercials. So Sony still has time, but the clock's ticking, the sand's running out. They need to start talking, because I'm getting tired of talking about Xbox on a PlayStation.
When's the date? When's the latest?
So I've heard, and not like, well, from inside sources,
because I have a theory on this
from educated folks out there. The earliest is the end of March. We're in the Ides of March right now. It's not going to happen in March. I am hoping it's in April. But we got to see where things go. So I think really their deadline is the beginning of June. They have to say something, because we've heard a lot from them. It's not like a lot of the things we've seen the Xbox One X do, PlayStation 5 apparently does as well. Like they pretty much, Sony stated it in writing, Xbox just shows you it visually. So like, I think latest June, I think earliest March. And there's something PR wise that irks me in a different way of how I see the industry. So a cog of the wheel is stuck right now, and I think they're just trying to shake a few hands before showing this thing out.
When they do reveal it, do you expect the a full spec breakdown similar to what we have from Xbox, or do you think Sony's going to start rewording things just like it's twice as powerful as the Pro? Here's the games and
that's
graphics.
actually
themselves.
That
You
was
know,
going
just
to
keep it
be
simple.
my rebuttal.
Yeah.
And listen, if I'm doing PR for Sony,
Yeah.
and I know that I don't have the power, you're not going to be stupid and you're going to put up spec versus spec and then look, hey, well, our specs are smaller. That's not actually how I would handle it. How I would handle it is you would go versus the specs of your own stuff. You take the PlayStation 5, and listen, if it's 9.2 teraflops, understand it's a effing beast. It is going to produce unbelievable games.
So understand that like 9.2, like all these flops are great. We're only going to be using half of them to be shown on our 4K TVs. So like we're not even using most of those flops yet. That's why when people are like, oh, but this thing does 8K, I'm like, well, PlayStation 5 does 8K. What this probably means is that the Xbox Series X, the Xbox Series X is going to probably be true 8K, while the PlayStation 5 is going to be checkerboarded
8K or whatever.
Yeah. So I think they're going to, just like how Xbox did it as well. They're like, we could split this up into 4 different, Xbox One X, or sorry, S's. Yeah, you'll see Sony do the same as well, comparatively through their ecosystem. But yeah, you're gonna see, Mark Cerny walk up there and he's just gonna be all quiet and be like, "Hello, everyone. We have amazing news."
Yeah, that's exactly how he talks. Oh my god!
I have Knack 3. It's just like, you're gonna see Mark Cerny again talk numbers, but. Again, to me, numbers don't matter. It's the games, and man, we even saw that today as well. So, exciting.
Yeah, well, listen, dude, I love your point. Love that you had the chance to come on here, and really appreciate your PlayStation point of view. I want to grab Gaming Forte's ear because he is in the trenches. He gets to see and shake hands. Well, not shaking hands now, anyway.
No, man, ain't touching nobody.
You do the old, a lot of these handshakes, right? So when you talk about Xbox now, we're not talking about 6 months ago. We're talking about Xbox now. You talk about confidence, and when you talk about confidence, for me anyway, I kind of think of Phil Spencer because he told us this was going to happen years ago. Many people didn't listen. A lot of people wanted, like, how when you're not feeling good and you kind of want just the magic pill to kind of snap of a finger and fix everything. They don't make them like that. There's no magic pills. And of course, when he took over in 2017, there was a lot of work for him to do. He's led up to what seems like almost a fairy tale ending. Now, again, we don't have the consoles yet. Something could be horribly wrong, but I do have to ask you, Forte, with all of the confirmation that has come down today, with December 12th being what it was, with the other 3 weeks ago, the Static Monday, where we get the confirmation of the 12T flops, we are also hearing from our inside sources, and you know who I'm talking about, which will remain unnamed, Forte, told us specifically, Microsoft has weeks of bombs just ready to go. How incredible was this news when you heard it today?
So I was sitting at work using sanitizer all day every time I touch somebody's trade, because people were just bringing the stuff in. Shout out to everybody out here that's trying to find something for their kids to do this weekend. You guys are literally making GameStop's stock prices go through the roof right now because of all this stuff. But man, I was excited when I saw it. I started looking at everybody's stream. I started tuning in to see what people were saying about it. And like you said, it was just another Monday. Just like last time, it was a random Wednesday. And that's the one thing that I really like that Microsoft has been doing lately. Ever since the VGAs, it's been this consistent Microsoft staying on point with the messaging that they want to talk about. They're not waiting for anybody to they're not trying to react to anything. They're basically just they're doing everything on their own accord right now. And that's what I like the most about it. This is the Microsoft that we always wanted. For years we kept saying that the problem with Microsoft is the PR, it's the marketing side of it. What are they doing to get people excited for the platform? And that has been literally non-existent in that argument ever since December, and nobody can pretty much say that Microsoft has done anything wrong in that regard. So I'm excited. I'm getting one day one. Most people on this panel is going to get one day one, and that's the biggest thing that's really to speak of. The one thing that I'm super excited for the most, being a person that plays pretty much everywhere, that 8 cores at 3.8 gigahertz.
That's
that
crazy.
Is something that's never been in a console before. And guess what? That is the thing that, like, people look at the 12 teraflops and say, oh, yeah, 12 teraflops, man, we got the most powerful system out there. No. Dude, if you would have took an Xbox One X and gave it 8 cores and 3.8 gigahertz, you'll be having a completely different experience on the Xbox One X than you are right now. Because
that's the number really people should be throwing out there.
That's the number you should care about, because guess what? That number is the one that's going to give you 60 frames per second, which is the one thing that everybody is, you should want that more than anything. That is going to be the thing that's going to drive next generation. People keep saying, well, the visuals are going to look greater. Yes, you're right. But we're almost at a diminishing returns when it comes to the visuals. I want my gameplay to be smoother. And the only way you're going to do that is having a system with something like 3.8 gigahertz. And that's something that you only see in desktop PCs and high-end laptops right now. So that's what I'm super excited for. And then to have a 1 terabyte NVMe in it, I was like, I have one of those in my PC right now.
You were part of the master race.
Dude, there's only one game on that hard drive, and it's called Destiny. And boy, does it load, and boy, does it load pretty fast on there. But I'm excited for all that stuff. But guess what? Let's not kid ourselves. This is just the beginning of a long and tenuous road that Microsoft has forced themselves down, and they have done everything correct when it comes to this. Now we're waiting for the last thing that Phil Spencer said, and you talked about it just a minute ago. You said Phil Spencer, over the years, people kept saying he was a liar. He was doing this. He was saying that. He kept going back on his word, saying the things he was going to do. That's not true. He's big business. Things change. Plans get moved around. But the things he's always said was, we're going to fix the service. We're going to fix Xbox Live. We're going to fix the infrastructure. We're going to fix our services, and we're going to fix the system. He did all of those things. And now he said the last thing is, we're going to give you the games that you want. And they started that trip 2 years ago, almost 3, when they bought all those studios. And now it's just time for them to lay all the rest of it on the table. Because the one thing that Sony still has an advantage on in everything is their first party. So this is what I think is going on here. Sony is kind of playing chicken with themselves at this point, because they don't want to announce their system being a weaker system, because like everybody said on this, if your system's more powerful, you're just going to kind of go out there and just say 14 teraflops, let's go. You're going to just let that know. So it's kind of just being theorized at this point that it's probably a weaker system. But what does Sony have that everybody can 100% with certainty say they, outside of Nintendo, probably are masterful at? And that's their games. So
hold on here. Who has the more billion-dollar franchises? I mean, one fan base loves to count sales and numbers, man. Xbox has 4 or 5 of them.
And guess what? Those billion-dollar franchises have so much fatigue around them. We just want something. And that's the thing. Xbox fans want something new. That's all. Like, you're not wrong about that. At one point, Gears of War 3 outsold every first-party game that Sony released that year, and that's with Uncharted 3 being a part of that. Yeah. So that was a thing. So you're not wrong about that, but I just think at this point it's just fatigue around that. Xbox, we just want new IPs and we want new experiences. That's the biggest thing that people talk about. Okay. But I just think at this point, Sony is looking at it like, we're not going to win the power war. So you're not going to come out here and compare your system to the big kid on the block when it comes to power. But guess what you might do? I think Bit was right when he said June being the tail end of this. What releases at the very end of May? We got probably the biggest game of the generation for Sony releasing at that same exact time. And And with him being a masterful person, like he said in PR, why would you not wait until your biggest game, especially if you have a lot of confidence in it, to be able to turn a bunch of heads and get all of that attention swayed over to your system and people talking about PlayStation in the light that they haven't talked about in the last year? You drop that game, and then within the weeks of following that, you start coming out with information on what your next system's going to be.
You're riding the hype.
You're riding a hype of the one thing that Microsoft has struggled to give everybody, not struggled to give, but give at the level that PlayStation has been able to do. The games is all that matters. So for them, they're like, let's wait for our games to release. And once these games start releasing, we can literally just ride that tidal wave all the way through, because you got Last of Us coming out, and then a month later you got Ghost of Tsushima coming out. So you can sandwich right in the middle all the messaging you want. And the one thing, even if they are losing the power battle with Xbox, the one thing people are always going to remember is, man, Ghost of Tsushima was a great freaking game. Last of Us is an amazing game. And guess what? I will get better textures, better frame rate, better everything if I upgrade to the PlayStation 5, and all those games are going to come with me. That's what they're hoping is going to happen. And guess what? The hardcore fans, like me, Boom, all of us, we're going to buy that system day one.
Yep.
They're just hoping more of their PlayStation fans come with them when it comes to that system. But I also just believe that it's going to be a very slow adoption rate. So Microsoft has a lot of time to get what they want for their first party rolling out the door to combat what Sony's going to do. But it's really just going to come down to games at this point. Right now, that's all we're playing is we're playing a game. We're playing a Game of Thrones right now. Sony's at the top, sitting on the throne. Microsoft says, hey, I challenge you. Sony's like, give me until July. That's when we're going to fight. That's basically what's going on right now.
If I could just hop on this point for just 1 second.
Sure,
here
come on in.
It is what you said here. It is fatigue. I love Gears of War. I think Gears of War 5 is my favorite Gears of War ever in the franchise. I love it. I love Halo, but there is fatigue around these IP. Shuhei Yoshida, when the PlayStation 4 was coming out, he even said, our IP, you take 20 of our IP, all those sales combined equals what Halo and Gears used to do. They just don't do that anymore. And I think what Gaming Forte said here is great, is you want to create a narrative. Adam Sessler said something really interesting a few years back. He was, when you're selling a console, you're selling a story, you're selling a narrative. And right now, Xbox's narrative is, guess what? We have these amazing services. We have these amazing games that you can get for just, tops $15 a month. And we have power. And that's the thing that their message is. This thing is a beast. This thing has the power that is going to propel your gaming forward.
So a lot of that, in my opinion, is guesswork, because Microsoft doesn't release game sale numbers often, but they do release player numbers. And when you got like Sea of Thieves and what do you call it there, Forza, doing like 10 million players, it's about, those are people, those are human beings playing the game. I don't care if they bought it, own it, anything, they playing it.
And it's because they changed that narrative.
That's a big thing. Honestly, people playing your game is more important than someone who bought it and it sits there wrapped up on their shelf, never to be touched.
Well,
if
because
those
those
actively
people,
engaging in it, I don't think there's fatigue, is my point. Halo has millions, Gears of War has millions, Forza has 10 million playing. Like, to me, and I only speak for myself, when I look at Sony's first party, I want something different other than a first-person cinematic story game. That's all they make. I want something else from Sony first party, and I'm not getting it. A different story attached to it. That's all it is a new story. It's the same game, the same gameplay.
Right.
You're still sneaking. You're still throwing a bottle to distract enemies. It's the same game with a different paint job. There's a lot of people that like that, 10 million strong, apparently. But I think that they need variety in what they offer as well in their gameplay. Microsoft might need variety in their stories because it's still Halo, Gears, and Forza. But in general, their gameplay is way more varied, in my opinion, than Sony's first-party gameplay. Sony's got the story variation, but their gameplay is the same. It's a third-person game. It's heavy story, heavy cutscene, heavy set pieces while you play. Not that there's anything wrong with those things, but that's just all that they offer when it comes to their giant titles.
But you know
They don't
what?
have a
And-
huge
yeah.
first-person shooter anymore. They don't
No,
have.
and
Oh,
like,
they
you're
never
right.
did. Yeah.
They never
no,
did.
exactly. They're missing certain big genres. I find from their first party.
And
If they
that's
just
what gives
deliver
me
one
hope.
genre and they do it well, like damn well, but it's just the one genre.
That's what gives me hope when I see like the Rainbow Six creative directors coming on board into Guerrilla Games and
Yeah.
seeing what, because they do. You are totally right. A lot of PlayStation games are like heavy narrative, open world. Let me guess, it's dystopian, whatever it is, and bam, it's gonna sell like hotcakes, right?
Yeah.
But like what you said here is Xbox changing the narrative of this. Like, it's not about. I think it was like after Gears 4 did not perform up to their expectations. They're just like, let's change the narrative. Let's sell this thing called Game Pass. Let's talk about active users, because that's a way more attractive number. And active users then mean they're part of this ecosystem, which means they're going to be buying your battle passes. They're going to be buying your microtransactions, your skins, your weapon skins, whatever the case may be, your sprays. That's going to net you more income over the long run. And
Well,
that's
as a
what I really
customer,
like.
hearing about an install base or an active user base tells me so much more than sales.
Mhm.
Someone telling me that, XYZ PlayStations got sold tells me nothing. How many of those are turned on and actively playing games today? That tells me so much more. An active player base is more information to me as a customer than sales. For all
Well,
I know,
Yoshida
Sony
actually
sold half
said,
a
if you remember.
Yeah, Sheeta
million
said
doorstop.
that. You
Yeah,
see
he-
that?
he-
That's
Yeah,
right.
he
He even
just
said
said
it. He's like, that's a more important metric because, just selling consoles that don't get used, great. Whereas knowing that when I buy a PlayStation, there's going to be 10 million people playing Call of Duty or something like that. I know that when I pick up whatever game it may be, I use Call of Duty as an example, there's people to play with. So I'd rather hear about active users any day of the week over sales. Sales mean nothing really to me. I'm not a corporation or a shareholder.
Oh, sales mean nothing to me. I'm not getting
Yeah,
any money
nothing.
back. I don't care.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
back to just tech. No one brought it up yet, but what did anyone think of that blanketed AI-assisted HDR for every
man,
single game?
I was
Like
gonna
that
talk to
was
you about
mind-blowing too. Just wow, crazy stuff coming.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny. Let me move on to Cybernox. Cybernox, why don't you jump in and answer the question that Shady just brought up? Because again, as great as 12 teraflops sound, there were a lot of behind the scene exciting numbers and programs that are going to eventually, you got to remember, what one part of a console doesn't make a console, right? All of those parts, all of those teraflops, all of those gigs, all of those terabytes, they all are going to form together like Voltron and make the defender of the universe in the form of course the Xbox Series X. What impressed you about today?
Man, everything impressed me about today, and I feel like Phil Spencer is like Thanos right now, just going around with his gauntlet collecting the gemstones. He's just like, yep, one more. He's doing everything right, man. And today was just a big surprise for everybody. Like all the specs blew me away. I'm sure, just like everybody's been alluding to here on the podcast, I think we were all surprised by just another regular Monday. We're all chilling, starting off the weekend. Boom, a huge video drops with Digital Foundry. I haven't seen Austin's video yet, but now I'm curious to check it out.
It was fantastic, very well done. Very well done.
Yeah, for us to actually see the box, see all the components, see the specs, everything like that. It just like it blew my mind. I can't believe that thing is running at 3.8 gigahertz either. That I think the CPU is running at 3.8, right? Gigahertz.
Yes.
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, they confirmed that there are no current PCs, and again, we understand that the PC master race is going to step up and surpass this current console in regards to power. That's how PC works, right? That's how PCs continue to forge these new destinies, because obviously it's the PC master race. And the one thing about PCs is that you can you can pull it apart, put it back together, pick it back apart, and put new parts in, take old parts out. That's great. If that's what you're into, good for you. But I'm a console guy, and all I can tell you is based on the tech that's in there today, what we know that's in there today is future proofing this console for the next 5 to 7 years. And the amount of money as you know, I think 10% will back me up on this. When you talk about the variable dollar versus what you're getting, there's just no comparison. So real quick, Cybernox, I just want to read you something from Jason Ronald, who is the director of and he's director of product management on the Xbox Series X, and he had this to say. While the Xbox Series X will deliver a massive increase in GPU performance and continue to redefine and advance the state of art in graphics with new capabilities such as hardware accelerated ray tracing, we don't believe this generation will be defined by graphics or resolution alone. Now, he continues with, the team knew they needed to build the next generation console that could run games in 4K at a steady and full 60 frames per second with zero compromise for the developers. They also challenged themselves to deliver a level of performance once thought to be impossible on console, which includes the support of 120 frames per second for the most demanding and competitive games. While they believe the resolution and frame rate are creative decisions best left in the hands of the title developers, the team wanted to ensure the system was able to support the needs of the largest blockbusters, competitive esports, and innovative independent creators. What are your thoughts on that statement?
Oh man, and you can tell by that statement that that box is delivering like on all cylinders. You know, a bunch of things that I got from the system itself, the Series X, is the uh the performance target that they were talking about. They were like, it's 4K at 60 frames up to 120. Like there is no 30 frames. Like this machine is able to do it all. So it's like developers, get on your horse and do what you need to do here, because there's gonna be like no excuse, you know. But what Shady was mentioning earlier as well is I think it's called machine learning HDR.
Yes.
That thing, man, they were previewing it with Halo 5, and just the machine itself, the software itself, allowing that part of it, you know.
Skynet is coming.
Oh my God, it looks amazing.
They showed HDR on that Fusion Frenzy,
Fusion Frenzy.
original Xbox like launch game.
Yeah.
I mean, I can
Like I've
that
never,
was the thing that blew my mind.
oof, I've never
That's
played
awesome.
Minecraft either, and the way they were showing
It
the
looked
RTX on
dude.
and like on and off, and I was like, oh my God,
That was just real-time lighting, like the
real-time
ray
lighting,
traced
right?
lighting was
Oh
insane.
man,
I just like how they basically talked about how developers don't have to do anything for their games.
there's not much for them to do. Yeah,
That right
Mhm.
there, because it basically says optimize your game during the process of making it, and we'll do the rest on our end. And that's something that I always wanted from a console. You know, I should always be able to future-proof myself with the console I buy, so the games when I play them in the future, I'm able to get the best out of those games no matter what platform they're on. And it looks like Microsoft's heading in that direction. That was very impressive to see that.
Two things that did concern me though was, one, I think Shady mentioned earlier, was the 1 terabyte. I expected 1 terabyte to be the norm,
Mhm.
but they're telling you with you need an expandable storage for you to play the next gen games, and you need to buy, if you like.
You don't need the expandable storage if you
Well,
want.
if you want to keep playing those games, like if you want to store more games, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm kind of like Shady. I have a 4 terabyte a hard drive here, and I like to keep all my games installed, because I don't know, if I want to play a game, I just want to click on it and play. But you guys, you know, went over that. And another thing is, for all the power that this thing is offering, all this bells and whistles this thing is offering, is it really going to be 500? That's my only concern now, the price of this console.
Yeah, I mean, look, I will say this. There would be slight concern for the price being $599.99 if Phil Spencer, on many occasions, who came out and already said that Sony will not be out of position. His exact words, and I quote, "We will not be out of position when it comes to the PlayStation 5 versus price and power.
He also said that the pricing wouldn't be anything that we really haven't seen before. I don't think he's going to use the one-time only $600 PS3 as his example to be like, oh, but we did have one time. This one, like, I think he's talking 500 with that, because that seems to be the standard for multiple gens.
I was just hoping that Phil Spencer went on Twitter and was like, and that's the bottom line, because Phil Spencer and Xbox said so. And it's 316 today. Come on, baby.
Sure. Real quick, you know what, Tempest, I'm going to get to you, but I got to catch up on some of these super chats. First of all, Eagles fan dropped numerous super chats, and I can only see one of them, so I apologize. Eagles fan 76, he dropped a total of $4 super chat, 2 once before and 2 now, and he says Halo Cyberpunk 2077 September launch with Forza a month later. That sounds very tantalizing to me. And let me see some of the other ones that have come in. I might have missed them. If I missed you, I greatly and terribly apologize, because I missed some of them. Sometimes this chat goes just so quick. But Tempest, son, you know what? I want to get to you next, because you were on the earlier event today, and we did talk a lot about what we saw. And, the more we hear about the console specs, the more likely that when Phil Spencer announces the E3 digital event that we know is coming and has been confirmed by Microsoft to, in fact, be coming, it will consist of games, and more games. And I think that's a great chance for the entire event to focus on the 3 things that I find to be ultra important with this event. The release date of the console, which, again, we talked about, we believe, regardless of what some of these so-called analysts are saying, I don't think Microsoft goes out and puts on this kind of a presentation if it's going to be delayed. I think that, yes, it may not release in the tens of millions. I think it's going to be limited stock, but I think that they launch on time. The final price, and of course, the most important thing that we all discussed and said for about 15 minutes we talked about, was the launch lineup and what first-party games are going to be representing this console. For you personally, someone that has seen everything transpire from December 12th moving all the way forward, do you think that this position that the brand seems to be going in isn't by accident, that Phil Spencer specifically wants to get the hardware stuff out of the way, and then when this event happens, whether that be in May, whether that be in June, around either the normal E3 time, it's only about the game's price and release date?
Yeah. First, touching on the release date, I believe, if I had my choice, what I think they should do, traditionally these things launch in November, but dude, do it like the last week of October, or at the very least, just the very, very first week of November. People are impatient, and even if there's a 3 terabyte gap and people just want to buy one of the new systems, there's a lot of people that will probably buy whatever it is, even if they were originally thinking they were going to PS5. If Xbox launches first, they'll get the Xbox, or vice versa. They have to come out first. Price, it's not going to be any higher than 500. I don't believe it's going to be higher than 500. I think that's the magic number.
I hope you're right.
Well, listen, I mean, AMD's ray tracing solution itself is being co-engineered with Microsoft.
Yes.
It's a co-engineered thing. It's a co-engineered chip. They're doing everything together. Not only that, but they're not just buying chips from AMD for the consoles. They're getting them for their racks too. Right. So they're going to be ordering such an ridiculous amount of these things. They could probably push the price lower than we really think they could. So I think they're fine on that. I believe this thing will be 500. And as far as the event goes, this is exactly why they're doing it. They want to stay ahead of Sony in delivering these specifications and things like that. But like I said on the earlier show, now when we see any trailer, it is what it is. There's going to be no, is that real? Can they do that? Can they do this? We know it's in the box. We know how freaky powerful this thing is. Like, listen, you look at Gears 5. Gears 5's graphics are so insane. You look at Gears 5, maybe like The Last of Us 2, stuff like that, and you're like, how can it get any better than that? Well, you look at that, and then you realize that they said they were running this thing at native 4K with ultra settings from the PC version. So ultra settings too. I hate to say it, as powerful the Xbox One X is, it's nowhere near ultra settings. That's been So you're getting ultra settings. You're probably going to end up getting ray tracing, but they said it was around 100 frames a second. And listen, that's not optimized. If you optimize a game, you can squeeze every ounce you want to out of this hardware. So they probably didn't apply the VRS, the variable rate shading, or any of that stuff. So just hearing that with little to no work, it's already at 100 frames per second, pushing
beast.
Yeah,
That's
pushing
unbelievable, man.
native 4K ultra settings. I mean, listen, I've said this before, so I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I'd say like a year and a half ago, I bought this PC. I did buy it. I could have made it cheaper, and I've made PCs before, but I didn't feel like doing it. So I bought a pre-bought, PC, costing me about $1,900. I have a 1080 in this thing, a good processor, all that stuff. Now, see, right now, currently where I sit, I almost have a choice between my One X and my PC. I've been playing Warzone, the new Battle Royale COD game. I've been playing that, and it looks pretty good. It looks sharp, but it dips at times. It's a Battle Royale on the current consoles. So I was like, you know what? Let me just see what it's like on the PC. Couldn't play it at 4K because I got, dipped frames and everything else like that. But I was pushing around 70 to 90 frames at 1440p. And the smoothness was unbelievable. And I was just thinking to myself, why do I got to pick? I hate this. I got to pick between, do I want it to be sharper with some dipped frames, or do I want to play? I mean, of course, you could say mouse and keyboard too, but or do I want to play silky smooth, but have it, honest to goodness, look a little bit more blurry? Because that's what it looked like. It's just softer image, period. I don't have to pick now. I mean, the fact that we're going to be able to get what I think is a $500 console, there's no picking anything. You pick this puppy up, you're going to get your 60 frames per second. You're going to get native 4K on probably most games. And then there's all the extra bells and whistles that go along too. Like when I think of this thing, not only am I thinking of the 15 studios that most of them have multiple projects. Okay. So like I'm thinking of Everwilds, Halo Infinite. I can't even imagine what that's going to look like. I just honestly can't imagine, especially with Master Chief looking like he's been bodybuilding for the last couple of years. It's awesome. But, so I think of these things and it just excites me. But what else excites me is the prospect of something like Assassin's Creed Odyssey running at 60 frames per second, looking even better with the new Ragnarok game coming out, bigger worlds. And until you actually see the footage of the load times, I've been playing State of Decay 2. The load times.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that in a hot second. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, just to close my point out, I mean, it's not just Xbox One X, Xbox Series X games, first party games I'm thinking of. It's everything else that comes with it. Just knowing for a simple purchase of a console, everything is going to be better. Everything.
Oh yeah.
And it's just really exciting. So.
Hey, Boom, as I missed out on this afternoon's show, I got 2 more quick points. All these specs and stuff had Digital Foundry basically accepting that Hellblade 2 trailer for what it was real quick. They were like, and that explains the Hellblade 2 trailer looking as good as it did. And that was like one line. Whereas before they were kind of like, I don't know how this could possibly be running in real time. And after today's numbers and stuff, they were actually like, and that basically explains what we saw in that trailer. So I thought that was pretty amazing. Of so many people were doubting that as even close to something approaching gameplay level, but I'm not at all anymore. And then I think almost my biggest surprise, because we've heard about these monster specs being rumored for a long time, I implore everybody, go to those 2 Digital Foundry videos that were put out today and go and scroll through the comment sections. It's the Twilight Zone in that sucker right now.
It is.
It's 99% positive, even from the PlayStation guys. Hey, it could be an Xbox guy that's posing as one, but there are dozens and dozens and dozens of comments saying, I'm a PlayStation lifelong gamer. This has me massively impressed. I'm interested. Guys, they're talking about the same with PC or Nintendo. I played other platforms my whole life, never Xbox. I can't wait for this thing. Good work. This looks like a monster. Like it's nothing but that. And then Xbox guys, there's a couple in there throwing some shade at Sony's silence. But generally, I've never seen a comment section like this regarding an Xbox anything. And it's coming from all sorts of gamers. It looks like,
and shady too. It's just the console purchase. They're gonna give you. So if somebody hasn't played Xbox yet, they're getting the Series X. You just buy the console, and you're gonna have Game Pass. They're gonna.
It's got so much. Like there was guys that were just they said they got killer rigs, and as opposed to upgrading their rig with the next gen stuff, they're just gonna buy this and see how that goes, because this is just, it's got all eyes on it. No one's ever really seen specs like this before, let alone in a console for a rumored $500 price point. Like,
and regardless what console you prefer, wherever you prefer to play, you recognize when something is.
That's what it is. And I know there's like a very strong narrative going on in the community that once you're in the ecosystem, you're never going to leave. Why would the casual audience ever leave? They've got their Call of Duty, their Madden, and their FIFA from the last 5 years. Why would they leave? It's because they're casual and they're going to go where the current talk is, where everyone's talking about the big buzz, where the best deal is, where the best customer-facing stuff goes. And with Xbox being the only ones talking and everything coming out being basically killer positive news, I think it's within Sony's like really, really best interest to start talking quick, because the casual audience is fickle and they may make their minds up before, you know, someone else knows it. Just look at that comment section. Everyone go check it out. Digital Foundry comment section. It's like 50% guys saying they're either going to jump ship from one platform or another, or they are definitely picking this up, whereas Xbox meant nothing before. I've never read anything like it. It's crazy.
Well, for me too, as a PlayStation guy, as a person that runs a PlayStation podcast, I've been saying this for months, is that everybody says, because this generation didn't favor Xbox, Xbox is out. I've been saying this for months. Xbox has the advantage here. They have built up the goodwill over the losses that they took early on. With Phil Spencer's guidance, they have earned the goodwill back of their community first, and now they're getting the goodwill back of the people. And now you're going to launch a console, regardless of the price, saying, hey, every single launch game here, whether it's 2, whether it's 12, all of them, day one, Game Pass. Mm-hmm. And guess what? They'll probably toss out another, get Game Pass for $1. That's the power. Absolutely. That's the true power of Xbox. We could talk about the power of the console. It's the power of their messaging. That's like what's going to sell the console.
I've always thought that success in the industry, especially at the beginning of a generation, is very much a snowball effect. And if you're trying to make the biggest snowball as a competition, the earlier you can get that sucker rolling down the hill, the better. And Xbox has got a pretty mean looking snowball as it is, and it's already kind of rolling down. Sony's up top, still, squishing one in their hands. I'm not doubting that they got something to go, and it might just steamroll everything and be absolutely incredible. But if you don't get that mind share and start building it pretty quick, it's not long before it's very difficult to get it after everyone's talking about something else. It's hard to be like, me too. So it's nice to see, because I'm an Xbox gamer primarily, but I would like to see Sony step up and just put a lot of this rumor to rest. And I hope that they can match a lot of these specs, and these systems are very close at the end.
Also, I took a look at the video. Talk about positivity. I don't care about the comments so much as the like and dislike ratio. Fantastic. 20,000 likes, only 251 dislikes.
It's pretty nuts.
Awesome.
It says a lot, but literally do something favor and just read those comments, man. I've never seen comments like that before regarding an Xbox anything. It was an eye-opener of just, hey, look, a lot of people are looking and paying attention at this, and Sony can't just rest on their laurels and expect everyone to show up. They gotta come out and start swinging too, I think.
Yeah, and I mentioned this on previous show too, so I won't take too much time. But the longer Sony goes without saying anything, the more and more of those PlayStation consumers and other consumers may look at Xbox and be like, hey, that's looking pretty appealing right there. It may switch over.
Right. Yeah. No.
Well, now Sony's trying to talk someone who was with them out of buying the competition, when before they were basically guaranteed Sony, but because they've been quiet for this long and Xbox is just dropping bombs, they might find themselves in a position where they're actually trying to convince their own fan base to stick with them instead of being a guaranteed thing.
Right.
Well, listen, I like I said, I expected us to use a tremendous amount of time talking about this, because quite frankly, there is no way to cut corners, and I certainly wouldn't do that. I want to move on to the next topic. As you can see by the new header, there are two major advantages that the Xbox Series X that have nothing to do with the teraflops, and it's the quick load and quick resume features that we saw in action today. We're going to break that down, but before I do, I have to thank a couple of people here because the super chats have come in. First of all, where are you? A very good friend of the show, and his generosity just once again completely blows me away. Robert Jones, thanks for being here, dude. Super appreciated. He drops very generous $15 super chat. For price, David Preen on RDX said a lot of the price is based on the size of the chip. Note that the chip size is slightly smaller than the 1X chip, suggesting price around $500. That is a fantastic point, Robert. Thank you for that, and of course, thank you for your generosity. And our very good friend Sir X-Man drops a $2 super chat, and he says, "New name for the system, 4XSX Tower of Power." Yes, it is a Tower of Power, no doubt about that. And another gentleman who continues to show his generosity and just be one of the community's finest when it comes to stepping up to help others. Wilmy Hood drops a $25 super chat and says this: "Today proves it's going to be a great year to be an Xbox gamer." Indeed, my brother, indeed. Now listen, I watched the 2 videos, I put it in the DM, and I gotta tell you, the two features that I'm talking about that I think are going to be major game changes, and I'm not even throwing that out there to be funny or to have a pun, is the quick load and the NVMe SD, which we're gonna get thanks to the confirmed 4.0 NVMe SSD. But it's the quick resume that blew my mind. And I sent this video, and I gotta tell you guys, I hope that you watched it so you know what I'm talking about. If you're in the chat and you saw it, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. The speed in how quickly games loaded and how quickly you jump back in between 5 different games was seconds. It was absolutely unbelievable. And I know a lot of people take stock in when Mark Cerny was showing off the Spider-Man, right, which was ultra impressive. A PlayStation 4 Pro next to what was supposed to be a PlayStation 5, no real specs, just it was just a screen. But we saw how quickly Spider-Man the game loaded, right? Well, today, through the official Xbox YouTube channel, they put up these 2. They were about just under 2 minutes each. I highly recommend that you watch them. My God, the speed was ridiculous. Now, Gaming Forte, I want to go to you because you are going to know exactly what I'm talking about. You see, me and Slow-Mo, we hang out in Washington, D.C. and New York, trying to bring the people back from the brink of extinction, where you are hanging out in outer space with your Destiny clan, and that's cool. How incredible is it going to be that when you have a group of friends in the next generation, you're not sitting there at the planet level waiting 2 and 3 minutes for your mates to load in? We saw that in action today with the quick load. It is going to be a big deal. They showed off State of Decay 2, which, by the way, the loading in that game is an abomination. Okay,
yes, it is.
And it is unbelievable. They put the screens side by side, and the person playing on the right not only ran across the street, but went into the house and completely looted the house before the next. It was almost 4 minutes. It was insane. For you, besides the teraflops and all of this nonsense, it's the little things, the little quality of life things that we're all going to like. When you saw this video, were you as taken aback as I was?
Yeah, man. When I saw it, I was like, finally a feature that we have been able to enjoy at a very high price point on PC is coming to console. Something that not just the fact that your game just loads up pretty much, it seems like, out of existence is something that is very much wanted. And trust me, being the person that is waiting for people to load in, if you got an SSD on your Xbox One X, you know what I'm talking about, because you could definitely tell somebody that either has the older system or they're still playing on regular hard drives and not SSDs. There's like a 15 to 20 second difference sometimes between people logging in and loading into a game and stuff. So I'm super excited for that. Food for thought, GameStop does take trade-ins on hard drives. So the fact that Microsoft they basically gave you this information on knowing that the new system is only going to be able to, like, if you want to store extra memory, you have to have the new hard drive. You might want to start thinking about getting rid of your hard drives now while they still, because I think like 4 terabyte hard drives trade in for like $50 right now.
Wow, really?
So if you got one, you know, it's not going to really do you as much good in the next generation because those hard drives won't be able to be used on that system to be able to do your gaming and stuff. So you might want to start using those to trade them in if you got like an assortment of them like I do. I got 8 terabytes, not teraflops. I have 8 terabytes worth of hard drives, and I'm getting rid of all those boys as soon as possible so I can start upgrading to get ready when they do, because I have to get another hard drive because I like to have all my games on my drive. But just seeing that this is an option for you is what I'm most excited for the most. And that's that's right up there with not loading, but with your the ability to just play your games at a higher fidelity. It's all about the experience when it comes to gaming. You know, graphics and fidelity is one thing, but when it comes to just how your game plays, how smooth it runs and everything, that's all contribute to that SSD. And then just having this feature that gets you into the mix as soon as you can. You ain't got to wait for, you know, updates or anything. Your system's already going to probably be up to date. And as soon as you turn it on, you can just jump right into the menu. Man, that's gold. I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, it's going to be extremely impressive, and I got to tell you, man, for me, what I like doing is, because I'm an old school gamer, I hate starting multiple games. I'm doing it right now, and it's driving me bonkers. You know, I turn on the system, and Ori, Division 2 DLC, Warzone, I want to get into, and I'm like, my God, I hate playing 3 things. But with the Series X, man, sometimes that shit is slow as molasses. So seeing the speed of being able to go in and out of 5 games, holy shit, it blew my mind. You know, I want to go to Mr. Badbit on this. Yeah. You know, one thing that I think that as gamers, we're a fickle bunch. And we sometimes take a lot of things for granted. You know, like wireless controllers, because back in the days you had to sit 6 feet away from your TV, otherwise you couldn't play. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was no lying on the bed when I was playing my NES, you know what I'm saying? Because you had to be in front of the TV. But it's these little new nuances that have been confirmed, and they seem to work flawless. Now, I'm assuming that Sony is going to have their own technology that's going to, because we know Mark Cerny already showed off the Spider-Man with the quick load regarding the SSD. So that's good. The getting in and out of games, well, they haven't really done that before. They're doing it now. Like, if you shut off your PS4 and you put it in sleep mode, your game starts, and it's pretty good, actually. Yeah. I'm interested to know, when you saw these 2 things running, these 2 new nuances, were you excited to see what other little things that they haven't shown about the console? And what are your thoughts on the quick load and the quick resume?
So quick load was something I was just like, okay, it's cool. Like, I don't want to, shit on anybody's excitement for it. But yeah, like I've heard that this is going to be the case. And it's cool. I saw it and I was like, okay, cool. It's faster loads. That's awesome. Again, awesome if you're excited for it. Thing that got me really excited was the quick resume. Right. And I think it's actually Austin Evans. His video shows you how fast. And he's just like, this is, he's switching from game 1 to game 2 almost instantaneously, and he's just like, oh, and by the way, on the back in the background, your game's being saved. So not only, like, God forbid anything happens to your game while you're playing it, or like a power surge or whatever happens, your games are backed up either way. And that was the thing that had me so excited, because to me, the thing that I hate the most is, like, I'm playing Battlefront 2 constantly with my good friend Luke Lore of the Xbox expansion pass. We had him on this morning, and the thing I hate about that game the most, maybe the only thing at this point, because they fixed it up so dang good, is when you're loading into the game, it takes 18 minutes and a half hour afterwards of just getting into a match because of the boot up. So if I could just start a game and it's just right there, and I could start multiple, that's fantastic, because I go through this constantly of just like, you know, I'm playing right now, you know, Zombie Army, right? And I'm just like, okay, I want to play Zombie Army, but now I'm kind of feeling like I want to play, you know, again, Battlefront 2. And it's just like, I gotta wait. Oh, it sucks. And it's just such a first world problem. But that was the thing that had me so excited. And the other thing as well, and I know we touched a little bit about it before, is to me the biggest thing is the ray tracing. That, like, and the thing that wowed me the most was Minecraft.
Yeah, dude,
like,
it literally made it look like a different game.
Yeah, and I'm just like, this is the tech that I'm excited about. Is that the next generation is about convenience, and I'm all about convenience.
Great point.
Yeah.
Excellent point. You know, Shady, I want to go to you, but first I want to grab Cybernox's ear on this one, because the reason why I'm going to you next on this is because you are a new parent. And sometimes as a new parent, as we know, you just have only a certain, and people in the chat are going to agree with me on this. You only sometimes get that 15 minutes or that 20 minutes while the baby's down, right? And everything seems to be, you know, copacetic. You're like, okay, the baby's at the bottle, he's down, game time. And if you have to waste 10 or 15 minutes of that maybe 20-minute time loading up a game, you're going to pull your hair out, right? So for you, from a parenting point of view, where time is of the essence, especially when you start talking quality time for yourself, because that's super important. Obviously, you're there for your family, but you need some me time as well.
For sure.
When you saw these games jump in and out the way they did that excite you not only as a dad, but as a gamer?
100%, Boom. I think you hit the nail on the head. You know, whenever we can get as much gaming in as we can, you know, the faster the loading times, and the quick resume. I mentioned, I heard everybody talking about it, but one thing that I don't think nobody said, or maybe I didn't hear, was they were quick resuming between Xbox One games and Xbox 360 games.
Yes,
they went from, I think they, on that demo, they went from, I think it was Ori to I think it was Cave is the one that they were demoing.
Cave,
And
yes.
if you're not impressed by that, try to play a 360 game right now on your current Xbox One or your Xbox One X. It has to go through an emulator, right? So it has to load that thing up, and it goes, and then the game starts up. So I was very impressed by that. But to get back to your point, it's amazing, man. You know, Forte mentioned, when I have an SSD on mine, I don't have an NV me on my computer, but I do have an SSD, and even that makes a difference when you're playing with somebody that only has an optical drive that's still spinning, you know? So, man, this is amazing. Like, the news that they drop and the way they keep just showing more and more features that this thing is able to do, and it's just like amazes me. And another thing, they try to make this happen on the one right now, right? So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. You're hitting B, or you don't know if you're going to resume back in the game, and sometimes you have to quit the game. So it was a mess, but it shows you the dedication that they had and the belief that they had in that feature, right? So they worked on it, they collected whatever they needed to collect, and now look at it. We just got a tech demo on both a quick resume and faster loading times, and it just looks phenomenal. I can't, man, it's gonna save so much time. How many times, like, when I'm playing Destiny, I know you're paying Forte, you're just waiting, waiting. So yeah, it's gonna get you into games faster. It's gonna allow you to do exactly what we want to do, and that's just play the games, you know, not be waiting on the menu screen, just waiting for things to load up. I'm hyped. I'm ready.
Yeah, no, that's a really great point. Shady, I want to get your opinion on this, because obviously you seem like a person, from what I understand, that has limited patience. And when your console is slogging through its load process, you sometimes want to just slap it upside its head to get it to run faster, even though we know that doesn't work. But at the same time, these new consoles are going to come with, again, these little nuances that people, gamers like myself, like yourself, everybody in the chat, sometimes take for granted. I'm going to tell you this right now. what I saw in action today with quick resume and quick load made me, if those little things besides the graphic prowess that you're going to get with these consoles doesn't excite you to want to upgrade to next generation, I don't know what will. But my question to you is, for you, are these two features something that are important to you as a gamer?
Yes, as an impatient man, I I do think that these are huge to me. Loads this gen are gargantuan. They're ridiculous, quite frankly. Some games much more than others, but man, they got really, really long. And it's nice to know that stuff is getting cut down. I'll use Destiny as an example. It likes to hide its loads in between the levels as like your ship flying up into orbit, and then it's in like the warp tube for a while, and then it comes back down and lands on the planet. That whole process can be like 45, 50 seconds. Whereas if that thing's running now on the Series X, what we're going to experience is you choose that next level, your Guardian gets in his ship, you see it fly into orbit, go into like warp drive, it's in there for 3-4 seconds, it breaks out, instantly lands on the planet's atmosphere and comes down, and you're in the level. It's going to be this smooth animation that just plays out the way that in your mind you wish it did, instead of being stuck in warp transit for 40 seconds. Like, it'll be game changing for that alone. Something like Anthem, which I play every day for my dailies. Again, the loads will just be obscenely faster. Right now, like, they don't kill me because that's where I hit up my social media and stuff, because I've got a minute in between everything to look.
It is about 50 seconds, though.
Like, it just takes so long. So that's already getting cut down to 8 seconds, as we've seen. About a 55 second load got cut down to 8 to 10. That's huge. I've seen a lot of guys go, that's nothing. Spider-Man loaded in 0.8 seconds. It's nothing. And I'm just like, look, when you fast travel in Spider-Man, it didn't take 50 seconds. It took like 12 or 15, something like that. So if it's cutting a 12 to 15 second load down to about 0.8, I would expect very similar out of the Series X as well. We just saw what it did to a 50-second load, not a 15-second load. That's the difference between the Spider-Man and what we've seen on the Series X. Also, those two games load so different.
If I could jump on this for just a second.
Brother, this is a conversational podcast, by all means.
Let's do it. So, like, the thing that's going to also, I think, surprise many people is the one thing that God of War got so much credit for was it was a one-cut game, right? It was a one-shot game. And they tricked you several different points throughout the game by teasing you with load times that you didn't think were stages being loaded in, like when you're traveling to different sections on the map. So to me, my whole thing with this fast loading is how developers are going to use that to trick you into thinking, instead of going into, Dead Space 2 and being on that elevator for 13 minutes, how they're going to trick you with the loading.
You'll be able to have more dynamic. You're right. Exactly. Like a lot of games like Tomb Raider and stuff, for example, if you find you're in a spot in the world where you have to crawl through a crack, and no matter how forward you're pushing on the stick, the game only lets Laura inch through that crack. That's like a hidden load where it's loading the next area and there's nothing you can do about it. You have to make it through the crack. It's going to take 20 seconds no matter what. I think we'll see more of those because the loads are smaller in general, so they can make them just this nice little animation that we can experience. Whereas what are you going to do when an elevator ride is 45 seconds? Like, I don't want to walk through a crack that's 45 seconds. So I think you're right. We will see more dynamic loads with the speed. And then, like, I play a lot of DICE multiplayer games. I play a lot of Battlefront 2. I play a lot of Battlefield. And my God, and Anthem is also on the Frostbite engine. That engine is notoriously slow to do anything when it's loading. I just don't know what to say. Going back to the main menu is like a minute plus ordeal. So I love it if that stuff starts going away. I play a ton of multiplayer. I know for like the immediate future, when we're doing cross-gen stuff, it's not going to help too much. I can't load into a multiplayer match when the rest of the lobby isn't ready. There's no one else for me to run around and kill, and it waits for people. So there are some things that are going to kind of hold back this a little bit. But once we start into this full-blown next-gen stride with multiplayer games, I'm talking, of course, we'll start to see these maps just loading super fast. I really like to play like Mortal Kombat and Killer Instinct and Dragon Ball FighterZ with my buddies, and to think that you can pick your fighter and it's instantly going to splash up with like this guy versus this guy, and then you're instantly on the level you want to play, because fighters already, they're pretty decently quick, but this will make it so it's almost a blink of an eye, kind of like it was back on the Super Nintendo and the Genesis.
Yes.
Same with something like with Forza. My God, you're looking at like a 30-40 second load every time you choose a race until you're finally going. We can cut that stuff down. You're getting so many more races in during your game sesh. Like the less time I'm watching a load screen, the better, for one. And then for that quick resume stuff, beautiful. Oh, baby. I think they've said it'll do 3 next gen games at a time, and up to 5 or maybe more. It depends. If you're running nothing but 360 games, you could probably have like 8 or 9, because they're banking less
like triple Xbox One games. You probably could run 5.
Yeah. So like that's already incredible. I could only imagine someone who's, you know, knee deep into the campaign of Red Dead Redemption. You load the game once, and in theory, you would never ever have to load it again until you've seen the credits drop. You just have that thing in the background. You go and you play your Call of Duty or your Looter or any other single player game, get some Ori done. And anytime you want, you just click on Red Dead, and 6 seconds later, you're exactly where you were. That is insane, because Red Dead is, we all know, it's huge at the beginning. Nuts. You can bet that Cyberpunk is going to also have a when you first turn the game on, before you start to walk, I'll bet you that's going to be like 2-3 minutes on the Xbox One X. On current gen, it's going to be nuts, because they want to make that game have no loads after that. So there's going to be a lot of brilliant hiding, for one, plus a mega load at the beginning. So if you can load that game one time, and you're playing Cyberpunk for like the next 2 years, trying to get out those 500 plus hours of gameplay that thing looks to give, you almost never have to load it again, even if the game is getting updates. Because that one engineer from Xbox said he had a game, he put it into the save state, waited 2 weeks before going back. In that time, the game had also been updated. Didn't matter, knew exactly where he was. Without a hitch, he's going. Like, that is, it's magic. I'm going to have to wait and see it actually work in my hands, because as we know, Xbox attempted something on a much smaller scale this generation to middling success. There's like memory bleeds, or the game is just glitchy, what have you. A lot of the times you do have to shut it down.
Yep, exactly.
That's right. Or you know it's running, but because you loaded up Netflix, for some reason it decided to shut the game down in the background. It's just not a consistent thing. So they're making some big promises here. We did see them click on 5 games and they work perfect, but I hope it's just like they showed. I think that truly is a massive game changer, to be able to jump between 3, 4, 5 different big games. You could have a couple campaign ones. It's going to work weird with multiplayer games, Destiny or Anthem again, because when you leave, the game knows you're no longer in the game and takes you out of the server, which will boot you back to the main menu most of the time. So at the worst, you're just skipping the initial load that those games will have. You won't have to watch, BioWare come up and the Anthem and
that's
stuff and
fine
everything
by
else.
me.
That's awesome. That's great.
I'll skip the intro screen for Destiny that takes 2 minutes
or
to log
Star
into.
Wars. Like, that's so long, and Battlefield's so long. So if it can take me right to the menu and all I have to do is hit the button to join Xbox Live servers again, and away I go. Like, this is fantastic. I think that it's one of the most next-gen features, is both the quick loading and being able to resume multiple games at once. It's going to really affect how some people play games. I know there's some games I really want to play, but knowing the loads that I'm going to sit through just before I can even get the sticks going, I've already talked myself out of it, and that's a bummer. So I hope it goes away. It's great news.
You mentioned Red Dead, and I'm just thinking, like, is Red Dead going to be able to run at 60 frames now on the Series?
Like with ray tracing perhaps and all that. Like, woo-wee.
You're definitely getting PC settings, but you know what? Let me get to Tempest on. Tempest, I waited for last because I think I'm going to cost you $1,000. And what do I mean by that? I mean that obviously your awesome wife plays games. You guys play together. And I don't think that, as you being the good husband that you are, you can allow her to be waiting and mingling in the load screen while you're playing your fresh, new Xbox Series X. I think that you're probably going to have to wait in the weeds, and you're going to give that system to her. But more importantly, time, of course, is of the essence. You have a couple of kids, and sometimes, like in regards to all jokes aside, Cybernox's case, you only have a certain amount of time in a day. And of course, loading is such a waste of a gamer's time, especially when it's a long time. For you personally, when you saw these things in action, these two little nuances that, again, they're features that no one would actually really care about if you don't talk about it. But when you start breaking down the numbers and you start comparing old to new, people are like, you know something, boom, you're on to something. What are your thoughts on quick load and quick resume?
Well, I'm buying two. There ain't no doubt about that. Yeah,
I
wouldn't dare have one and not give one to the wife. I just, but no, like I said on the earlier show, but not everybody was there, so I'll say it here that I am currently in a real 3-game rotation. That does stop tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern, but I'm going between 3 separate games, and it's I never really thought about it before, but when you start doing the math, it's pretty brutal. I mean, you add up all the time hopping in between, the games. I mean, currently, to be more descriptive, my wife and I have been playing State of Decay 2, the Juggernaut edition.
Mm-hmm.
Great update, by the way. I highly suggest anybody that likes that game, try it. It's fantastic. The new map is really cool as well. But anyway, we've been playing that, and we've been playing Warzone, and it's a 3-man squad, no matter what the mode. And we don't want to play just the two of us in a random. So we'll keep in touch with our nephews or friends of ours. And if they want to hop on and play a few matches, that's great. But when you factor in the load time, switching of the games, getting back into State of Decay 2, well, we'll legitimately play 2 to 3 rounds of Warzone. And if our friend or our nephews have to jump off, we get off the game. So you factor in all the load times, man, and it stacks up. It really does stack up. And that'll be done with. Like, honestly, I mean, that's not far-fetched to say. That's going away. And especially, oh man, I feel for Forte. Destiny is the worst. Destiny and Destiny 2. That's just like, when you sit down to play, you just have to realize half of your time is going to be in a loading screen.
Yep, you're right.
Forza, man. Forza's brutal.
Yeah, so that's super, super exciting. Are we going to get into the topic of some of the other features, or can I just ramble on for a second here?
Well, we're actually the final topic of the evening is we're going to talk about the 100 frames per second that were. I know you want to talk about the frames per second. Up to 100. Yeah, we're going into that next. Okay, well, if we're not going to touch, one thing I wanted to touch on is not too many people are talking about the controller, and they gave you a nice close-up look. Yeah, they did. Dude, I can just tell that it's going to feel really nice on the skin. It's going to, like, the texture on the controller. Yeah, the bumpers have a texture through the whole thing, and then it has the grips. I have a few of the special edition controllers that have the actual grips on the triggers. That feels awesome. It actually feels like it's slightly, condensed, the whole controller. Love or hate that, I don't know. But the thing is, thank you, Xbox. Thank you. So the low latency adjustments they're making for their controllers, one that is ridiculously huge for things like shooters and things like fighters, especially. Mm-hmm. That's great tech, and that is not withheld to just the new gamepad. They're going to be able to upgrade that through the firmware, and your old controllers are going to be able to work with that feature on the new system. So if you have 8 controllers like a lot of people do, actually me included, they're all going to work on the Series X. So that
looking at those numbers they were throwing out, it sounded like it was eliminating almost as much as like 10 plus milliseconds from standard controller use. It was just like, woo!
Yeah, that's huge. Oh yeah, that's a big deal. I mean, that's, be honest with you, for something like a competitive fighter, that might, if somebody has the fight stick like I used to be really into them. Something like that, you hear that and you're like, well, I guess I'm playing there.
They even said that, like, with the USB controller, the input lag was 0. It was just like, it's instantaneous with whatever this new you know, I forgot what they called the tech, but yeah, that was some exciting stuff for sure.
That could actually also make up with some of the shortcomings of like whatever TV you might have as well, because some of them are better than others as far as input lag. Yeah, no, dude, that's exciting. I just wanted to bring up the controller because I don't think it's getting enough love. That puppy looks very nice. It's also more flat on the front. So any custom art, any special gaming controller, you know, dude, the whole system and the controller. Can you imagine the special edition console with the controllers,
the wraps and stuff? It could be out of control. I'm gonna say, I think that these faster loads could actually like help with some people's gamer rage. At least people like me. I know, like, to use Jedi Fallen Order as a quick example. I was playing on the difficulty 1 less from the top, and it wasn't dying that pissed me off. It was knowing that I had to wait for that like 20-second load to get back in and keep fighting. Whereas as soon as you fell off a pit, you were just instantly back in. And I was always of the mentality that if it did something like that, when I actually got cut down and I was instantly able to go, I wouldn't have time to sit there and just rage at the fact that I lost whatever I lost at. So take these loads away, man. And I think like some people won't get as mad. And then there was another game where the challenges that you could do in this open world, every time you failed the challenge and you wanted to retry it, my God, if it wasn't a 30+ second load. So if they can get rid of stuff like that as well, and you're just able to get back in, keep going, I think a lot of people won't be chased off just by not wanting to sit and do nothing.
And shout out to the share button as well, because that is by far, you know, again, PlayStation guy here. That's my favorite thing about my PlayStation.
Love the share button, dude.
The share button is such a game changer. Like it is. That is the one thing I don't think PlayStation thought would catch on, was like the fact of like people want to share those moments with people. And I really love how Phil Spencer was just like, yeah, no, we're kicking ourselves and we didn't, you know, we didn't realize the potential of a share button. That's my one thing with Xbox, is it's like, I want to share my moments. I want to do it instantaneously. I don't want to deal with, I think, what is it, like OneDrive? Just, I want to share it on Twitter, and that's awesome for me.
Hey, I can just imagine the developers at From Software with these new load times. They're like, we can kill our customers even more now because they get back into the game instantly.
Do you like program the share button to do something? Because right now, say on Xbox, we can do a screenshot, or you can take your video, and then you have options. Do you want to share it to Twitter? Do you want to share it to your feed? Do you want to just save it? Do you want to trim it? Like, what is this button going to do? Do we have to tap it twice for a screenshot, tap it once for a video?
I think it's going to, when you hit the share button and you're on a particular screen, it's going to freeze frame that screen. It's going to do the screen capture, and I think that the menu in the back end is going to give you the option to what do you want to do with this so
it'll take, like, at least it'll take one more button pressed, and you're not just hitting just the share and all of a sudden Twitter's getting it. Because like when I share stuff to Twitter, I get to write stuff and everything. It's a process.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a menu of sorts, I would imagine.
So it's kind of just eliminating the fact that we have to push the big Xbox button and hit either X or Y, right? Is it getting rid of that?
Yep.
It seems subtle, is what it seems. Like, I don't think it's as big of a game changer as many. I can take screenshots and share it super quick, but I guess if it's taking away 1 or 2 or 3 button presses at the end of the day, that's still less. So bring it on.
To me, like on PlayStation, you can set it to where like you can hold it for a video clip, you can press it once for a photo, and then like you hold it for like a second or two, and they'll give you a menu of what you want to do with it.
That makes sense. I don't turn my PlayStation on since Spider-Man's come out. Literally, I'm not sharing nothing, so I just don't use the button. So I've always kind of wondered, what is the big deal, and why do people make it sound like such a game changer?
The first party stuff, so I enjoy it. But I want to move on to the last topic, because we're getting close to that, of course, 2-hour mark. And the last topic is, I want to start with Tempest Sun, because we were talking about this. We didn't get around to bringing it up, unfortunately, during the live stream today. There are many things that will make upgrading to the next generation worth it. And the one that, for me anyway, that jumps off the page is the ability to play games at the potential of 120 frames per second. Now, just a second. People are going to be in the chat. Just a second. Boom. What are you talking about? You're not even a tech guy. You don't even know what a frame is. Here's the thing. One of the many incredible YouTube videos I watched today, and I watched Austin Evans' video 3 times. I'm probably gonna watch it again because it was so well produced. My God, it was so good. And this is a dude that has 4+ million subscribers, and obviously for good reasons because he's got another one in me. One of the most impressive things for me regarding his video is seeing Gears 5 run at a full 4K, 100 frames per second. And what's insane is that it was confirmed right there on the floor that it was a 2-week-old build that was unoptimized. Understand what I'm talking about. With the hardware, with the capabilities of playing games at 120 frames per second, Gears 5, one of the best looking games this generation, was playing at 4K, 100 frames per second, and the cutscenes went from 30 FPS to a full locked 60 FPS.
Yeah, that's
now,
big.
Okay, not only did the colors pop off the screen, it was compared to a PC at ultra settings. When I say those words, when I say ultra settings, when I say 100 frames per second, when I say 30 to 60 locked frames, 4K, and this is an older game, and you being that you're a big Gears fan, what does that tell you for the potential to play Halo Infinite and at least Forza Motorsport 8 at 4K, 120 frames per second?
Don't forget that ray tracing boom. I think they said it had global ray tracing on
Global
that
ray tracing
as well.
That's a great point. Good. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for the save on that. What are your thoughts?
Oh, good. It's unbelievable. I mean, I mean, if you really think about what they're saying, the biggest takeaway for me is hearing it is impressive. The biggest takeaway is unoptimized, because when you sit down to optimize something, these developers really can squeeze out. If they do it right and they do a good job optimizing. I've played early builds of games. I've played betas of games. I mean, I've played just early looks, early access on Steam, you name it. I've seen a game go from pretty much unplayable to completely playable. Hey, we got a PlayStation guy on the panel. Briefly before God of War launched, I forget who it was, but Corey Balrog showed the game off, and the head honcho he was showing it to was like,
when it saw it and was like, no good.
Yeah, he was like, no good. This can't happen, because it was a wreck. Look how that game turned out. So optimization can go a long way. So when I hear that it's unoptimized and it is hitting 100 frames per second, listen, 120 frames, most people are like, they can't do that. It is possible. If it's hitting 100 frames per second unoptimized, it is very well possible, because I guarantee you they're not using the variable rate shading or anything like that. So they can get that number. If you have the TV to do it or the monitor to do it, I haven't seen it in person yet, but I hear it makes a difference. I don't think it's going like from 30 to 60. I think that is the biggest leap you're going to make, and where you can just visually see the difference. But, 60 to 120, that's impressive. And if they do it on this game, they're going to be able to do it on a lot of other games too. If the game is optimized well from the get-go, and they've always had 60 frames in mind, any slightly older game, no, it's not older. I mean, it just came out late last year, but Gears 5 and other games like it, like I could see Halo 5. If you like the multiplayer for Halo 5, I don't know if they're going to bother updating it because Halo Infinite's coming out, but that's just another example of a game that I guarantee you would be able to do 120 frames as well. But and the newer games with the newer assets, the newer graphical fidelity, 60 frames per second, that is just what you should expect.
Exactly.
And rare cases like the next Forza 8 or Forza Horizon 5 when it comes out, maybe with their performance mode, things like that, I could picture getting 120 frames, but just expect 60. And let me tell you, 60 is still enough. Achieving something like native 4K, 60 frames per second on most people's PC. That's why I have to say most. Most people whether they claim they are or not, they're not running around with 2080 Ti's. There are some people that have it. Don't get me wrong. But seriously, there is a vast majority of people that say they have a quote unquote gaming PC and they're running around with 1660 Ti's or, like 960s or, 1060s, stuff like that. And this Series X is going to eat those PCs alive.
Oh, man.
It's going to eat them alive.
Watch out.
Yeah, no, it's true, man. I mean, it's not even on paper, too. I mean, we just got evidence from the horse's mouth. Now they have Gears 5 running 100 frames per second. That is silly. It's just downright silly. So
when the consoles always get way more optimization and kind of punch above their weight, what is this monster going to be putting out, boys?
That's a great point. So Gaming Forte, our resident PC master race part-time player.
Part-time,
part-time. Right. Because you do, bring yourself back to the console.
Sure do.
When you hear, and not so much that we're hearing it. Austin, if you watch the video, was playing it, and it looked ridiculously different from the regular Gears 5 to the 100 frames Gears. Completely different animal. When you hear an unoptimized game in Gears 5 is running at a steady 100 frames per second and 4K, like Shady was saying, this has the potential to easily punch above its weight. What are you expecting from this monster?
Look, man, I was just expecting 60 frames per second. We jumped a whole generation when it got getting up to 120. Look, if the game is unoptimized, like they say it is, that is a amazing feat. That just means that the power, that means they're basically brute forcing the performance in that game, which is pretty astonishing when it comes to Gear, because Gear isn't a cupcake when it comes to the graphical fidelity and all the stuff that goes on in it. So seeing that, even on my PC, I think I get about 180 frames in Gears. So just thinking what that system gets now, unoptimized for it, that's pretty impressive. But like I said, I love the fact that they are going in that direction. It shouldn't be about the resolution and everything. It should always be about those frames, because those frames is the thing you feel. I mean, I understand a lot of people out here, I know people out here love the visuals of your games, but the thing that's funny is anybody that has a PC, if you do have one, even if you don't game on it, go load up a game like Call of Duty or whatever game you got on PC and play it, and just look at it at 60 frames per second, and then cap your frame rate to 30. And watch how degraded your picture quality will look even on PC.
So blurry.
It gets blurred. So that's the thing that people don't realize. The frame rate really does clean up all that artifacting and everything that you get into the game. And that's what I'm super excited for. I'm super excited to get not only the fluid gameplay, but when a person says you can't see 30 frames and 60 frames, they're lying, because the freaking frame rate the frame rate and the visuals by itself will just tell you that you ain't playing. And look, I'm just happy to get to a generation where this is the norm. This is something that I wanted forever. This is the thing that I was telling Xbox for the longest, like, dude, if you're gonna give me all the games on PC, I'm gonna play on PC, because I'm not gonna give up my frames unless you give me a reason to come back. And guess what? This system will do it, because I don't want to, trust me, I don't want to leave my Xbox brethren behind, because they've been here with me through thick and thin for 20 years almost now. But man, this system right here is the gateway to something special. PlayStation is going to do the same thing. It's going to be this way on both systems. I'm just excited to see what developers can do when they don't have to worry about the power.
Yes.
That's what I'm like. 120 frames, that's cool. But even if you give me 60 frames and you give me advanced AI and you give me more a field of view slide, dude, I'll take it. Give me a field of view slider, 60 frames per second, 40p. You give me those three things, I will never play on PC again, because there's no reason to play on PC at that point if I have that.
And that's the thing. Like, for me, I'll go even to the biggest extreme. This is again the number we should be talking about instead of a teraflop. Teraflops are way easier to market and to put out there. It's easier for people to go, oh, more, and it's a simple number. Awesome. This is the thing people should be freaking out about, because I'm right there with you at Forte. I played Destiny on PC and it was night and day. I was just like, whoa. Like, I never thought, I was like, oh, 30 FPS is fine, whatever. The naked eye, all yada, yada, yada. And then I played Destiny 2 on PC and everything changed.
It was Destiny 2 is one of the best 30 FPS games out there. For 30 FPS, Destiny 2 is insane, but it doesn't hold a candle to a 60 FPS title.
Not whatsoever. So to see that we're going to get, again, beautiful resolution with amazing frame rate, that's fantastic. Because fellas, I'm about to let you in on something that's happening to me on Wednesday. I have won the NVIDIA RTX.
You tell me you didn't win that dang
2080
What?
And I swear to you guys,
the Cyberpunk one?
Did you get the DM from them?
Yeah, man.
Oh man, me and Slow Mo was going back and forth trying to get that thing.
Wow! Listen, it was
congratulations.
Congrats, listen, anything can happen between now and Wednesday. I'm just too excited. But like, that's the thing I'm most excited about. Like, I have this 4K monitor. I don't care. I'm way more interested of like, oh man, Overwatch is gonna be playing like crazy. Like, Destiny's gonna look fine and it's gonna play super freaking dope. Like, that's the thing I'm really interested about. Forza Motorsport as well. Seeing that in 120 FPS, nuts. The frame rate's the thing that's blowing my mind here. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's good. Just to finish that out, look. Boom jokes around. He's like he said, that's the resident PC fan. Look, man, I am just excited for console gamers to see what PC gamers have been seeing this entire time. Maybe once you see it, then you'll be like, you know what? Maybe those PC guys ain't that bad. They had their head. We had our heads in the ground. But guess what? Microsoft and Sony are going to finally bring you to the promised land, and you are going to love every minute of it.
Yeah, I honestly can't wait. Shady, let me get your opinion on this, because obviously you play a lot of multiplayer games. That's your forte, no pun intended.
Yes, my gaming forte.
Obviously 30 frames versus 60 is tremendous, but the potential to have this new console come out and play, like, let's say Halo Infinite multiplayer at 100 frames, 90 frames, maybe it's not at the 124K. Maybe they give you different modes where you can run it at 1880p, but you're running at 120 frames. We know where you're going to go. Are you excited to see what they bring to the table and the choices they give gamers?
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, if entry level is 60 frames alone, I'm sold. Anything above that is pure, absolute, like, artery clogging gravy, baby. It's a lot. Let's be real here. Most people's TVs are doing 60. So at the very minimum, everyone is going to have a nice bump in a majority of their games. I can't speak for every developer or promise that they're all going to do 60, but it sure is sounding like most will, or it's capable for them to certainly do so.
It's going to be the target, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And games going upwards to 100 frames, that Gears running at 100 on an unoptimized 2-week whipped together build is insane, because that is running at native 4K ultra PC settings with real world ray tracing. Like, hello, I think if they put a little bit more time in there, optimized properly, you could get 120 frames, an extra 20 frames out of that thing easy, because Digital Foundry said while it was running, it wasn't even taking advantage of any real bells and whistles of the Series X. It was just kind of doing what they did with a little bit of back end work over the 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's super exciting for me. 30 frames is so hard for me to play in games right now. It gives me a headache when I watch the background. For some people say they can't visually see it. I don't think they're lying. I think a lot of people just haven't had certain things pointed out in the differences.
Yeah.
If you can't feel the difference, I don't know what to say. That's a personal thing. I can tell myself within seconds of walking around in any game if it's 30 or 60. It's so apparent to me. But the biggest one, and the one that drives me nuts, is anything in the background when you move your camera left to right from varying speeds,
That
especially
blurriness,
middling. Like,
staring.
yeah, look at a tree and do that, and all of a sudden that one tree is like dragging across half of your screen, and it just
ugly.
looks like trash. That stuff drives me berserk to the point where if I'm playing a 30 FPS game like Metro and stuff, I have to admit this is not the best. I go into my TV settings and I turn up the anti-blur and anti-judder and just deal with the extra controller input lag that comes with that, because visually it's now smooth and almost looks like a 60 FPS presentation, but there's lag and you need to get used to that again, and it's not always ideal. So because I play multiplayer a lot, Call of Duty, Battlefield, Star Wars, Titanfall, stuff like that, they're all 60. And it's incredible. So it's just very, very jarring for me to jump to a 30 FPS game when I was playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey. That's 30 FPS. Yeah. The only way around it for me was to turn up the anti-blur a little bit. But beyond that, I went into the controller settings, and I do this often on 30 FPS games, especially third-person ones. And I turn the sensitivity of my controllers, the sticks, to maximum. So when I'm moving the stick to the right or the left, the camera is like, boom, it's over there. Kind of like in real life when I turn my head. There's less dragging on the screen. And if they can get rid of that, and we're walking into almost all these games at 60 FPS, it is going to be an absolute game changer for me anyways. That's all I can really speak for. Just because I think the games look so much more crisp, that dragging, that blur, that artifacting, whatever you want to call it, it's all but eliminated at 60. I'm assuming at 120, there's like literally zero. It's just boom, crisp item in the background, and it stays where it should, no matter where you're looking and ripping that camera around. I like to really look at everything when I play games. I'm spinning the camera around. I'm making it very cinematic for myself, for the people watching. So that's a really, really big thing for me. And just even on the gameplay level, like for high level gameplay, you can't beat 60 plus. You're just so much more accurate. Everything's more responsive. Beautiful that this is going to become much more of a standard, approachable kind of entry level thing. I love it.
Yeah, no, actually, really great point. Cybernox, why don't you close out tonight's outstanding 2+ hour Xbox talk from start to finish? When you think about 60 FPS at 4K, that's impressive. You're like, okay, I like it. But when you start seeing older games, and it's not really older because like Tempest was saying, it was only last year in 2019 we got Gears 5. When you hear Gears 5 unoptimized is running at 100 frames per second, does that make your brain start to maybe start thinking into the future? Maybe we can get something similar with Halo. Maybe we can get something similar with Forza Motorsport 8. Maybe we can get something similar with one of the newer games that we haven't been announced as of yet. Does that excite you for the new hardware?
Oh, 100%, man. There's if you haven't seen what 60 frames looks like, man, you're gonna be wowed by you'd be wild by the Xbox One X right now. There's most games played at 60 frames there. But man, I'm always one of those, depending on the game, you always have to go performance over visuals, in my opinion. I love it, man. I play Destiny on my PC as well compared to the console, and the frames are just there. It makes that experience so much better. And then when you experience that, it's even hard to go back to 30 frames. It's incredibly difficult. And just knowing that going to the future, that 60 frames is the target that we're all going to hit, it's going to be amazing. Now, once you pass that 60, you have to have the hardware or the peripherals that are going to be compatible with those higher frame rates, right? So like Shady mentioned, most of our TVs are 60 hertz. Some of us are fortunate enough to have, monitors that are capable of more than 60 frames. But man, just the capability of knowing that they can push these games to that high of a frame rate without compromising too much on the graphical fidelity of the game, it's gonna be great. I think Shady one time, because a lot of people get misconstrued when they're talking about graphics and resolution. I think Shady had a great analogy at one point about looking through a window. Looking through a window at you're looking through a blurry window, it's like 720p, and you're looking through that the same window clean. I don't want to take the words out of your mouth, Shady, but I heard you say it one time, and I thought it was really well done. But yeah, man, frames all the way. It's gonna be fantastic. What the Series X is gonna be able to do. Even listen, even the supposedly the Series S. If that machine is 1440p at 60 frames, man, that's still gonna be an eye opener for a lot of people.
Sure it is. Yeah,
Oh
it's
man, it's
the
gonna be
entry
amazing.
model for the casual market,
Oh yeah,
and
especially
three.
if you, yeah, sorry, especially if you play a lot of shooters, even at different games. Like if you looked at Rockstar, we were talking about Red Dead Redemption. If you look at the trailer for Red Dead Redemption when it came out on consoles, and then you looked at that PC trailer that was running at 60 frames, oh my god, it felt like a totally different game. It
I'm
looked
not.
amazing. So yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm sure everybody on the panel here, like everybody on the panel here, is.
Well, listen, I got to tell you, this has been an amazing 2+ hours. Real quick, before I get everybody out of here, Dreadpool drops a $5 super chat. Sorry it took so long to get to it, my brother. I was trying to get through the topics. He says, even faster difference when he's using his NVMe on his Xbox One X now, it's not using its full potential. See if anybody dropped in. And Spider-Man, good friend of the show, thank you for being here, dude. He drops a $2 super chat and says, Forza Horizon 4 load times are horrendous. Takes 3 minutes. God damn it, that's ridiculous. I cannot wait to experience gaming that does not have that. Let me just make sure that no one else is here because I always feel terribly guilty. Okay, so we are up to date regarding the super chats. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Badbit for being here, dude. It was great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me, man.
For being here, of course. I want you to do me a favor, if you wouldn't mind. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, but more importantly, help you get to that 5K milestone on your outstanding YouTube channel.
Thank you so much, man. So yeah, you guys can follow me at Mr. Badbit on Twitter. Again, I don't do any of that like console war nonsense. It's all games to me. So if you like some of that, you like some funny memes from time to time, follow me there at Mr. Badbit on Twitter. And you can follow me on YouTube where I talk about all game news and reviews, at least the news that matters, each and every week over at Badbit Games on YouTube. And you can follow me on The Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast made by the players for the players. Each and every Thursday, me and my best friend Kyle talk about the latest, greatest that are happening in the world of PlayStation. Follow me there on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, wherever you get your RSS feed service. It'd be greatly appreciated. Maybe even drop us a 5-star review on iTunes. Who knows?
Well, listen, I hope people get over there. I hope you get to your 5-star, 5K milestone for your YouTube channel, because obviously you're putting the work in. So, of course, it would be great for you to hit that. Of course, I have to now talk about my brother from another mother. Unfortunately, we are not going to be hanging out at E3 2020 because it was canceled, and we're devastated. But we will eventually meet. And I have to tell you, Forte, the amount of work that you put in on a weekly basis even puts me to shame when I'm putting my nose to the grind, because you are on so many shows. And you know what? To be honest, you bring a certain level of excellence to every show that you're on, but you also do that on your own YouTube channel. Do me a favor. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media and also check out your YouTube channel.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate it, man. And like I was bummed out about the whole E3 thing too. I was like, God dang it, I ain't got a chance to see my lord, see Boom, see Brad, get to see my employers outside of GameStop, and just my friends in general. So man, feelings mutual on that. But as always, it's always great to be on this show on Mondays with you guys. The chemistry here is second to none compared to anything else that we do in YouTube, and I really appreciate that. But outside of that, man, there's Gaming Forte on YouTube and gaming_Forte on Twitter. And check out those tweets, because as soon as those reserves go live, your boy gonna let y'all know.
Yes, well, I expect.
Yeah.
Boom, you're gonna get a DM. You're gonna get a private DM about it.
Yeah, private DM, and then we'll let the peasants come for the rest of the PS5s.
Yeah.
Well, yes, and love having you on the show, dude. Thank you so much for being here. Cybernox, we still are waiting for that coffee that you and I are supposed to get together and have.
100%. Yes.
Due to the certain situation that will remain unnamed, that's going to have to wait, but we can still play games together. And of course, having you on each and every week has been a big highlight for this show. You are certainly one of the cogs that keep it rolling. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, but also check out your YouTube channel.
Absolutely love being here on Monday nights with with you guys. It's always a pleasure. It's always great starting the week off talking about that passion that we all love, which is gaming. Everybody, you guys can find me, on Twitter at Cybernox. I'm not as active as I used to be on there. I gotta get back on that horse and start being a little bit more active, putting myself out there a little bit. Also on YouTube, Cybernox as well, and on Twitch if you want to, come and check me out when I'm just messing around playing some games. I just do it all for fun. I just love this hobby that we all enjoy. And it was a pleasure having Mr. Badbit here with us today.
Thank you. Pleasure's all mine, man.
Yeah, and the panel always phenomenal, Shady, Forte, my brother Tempest, and you as well, Boom. And I can't wait to be here next Monday, talking games with you guys again. Chat, you guys have been phenomenal.
Yes, well, thank you for being here as always. And so Shady, he is someone that is not afraid to kick mud in your face and strut his stuff like Ric Flair up and down the red carpet. Shady, you bring a lot to the table. You bring passion. You bring anger. You bring patience. No, wait a second. Scratch that. No patience. I want to thank you for being here. It's great to have you back in your round seat, chilling and talking about games. Tell everyone where they can follow you on social media, potentially join the empire, and also what other shows are you on?
Not a problem, Boom. It was a pleasure to be here. Mr. Badbit, nice to know Sony's got some fans. They're not all zealots.
Yeah,
I like
man,
to see that, man.
We got some sane ones,
It was a great conversation. I liked it. Nice to know that there's some sane gamers on all sides and not everyone's an extremist when you're looking at the other end. That's great. I loved having you come on. Good stuff. Forte, Cyber, Tempest, Boom. Always a pleasure to come here on Mondays, man. I love it. This is where you can find me, as well as Friday mornings, Boom, on your other show, Breakfast with Boom. We will be talking some Doom Eternal, I'm assuming, because it launches this Thursday night. And I'm going to be up all night tearing. I was about to drop a huge MFer, man, but I had to stop myself. I'll be tearing dudes apart all night, man. This is guaranteed my game of the year, bar none, man. I feel sorry for Halo and Cyberpunk. They're a very, very close second and third, but nothing's going to touch Doom Eternal for me. I am so excited for this game. Oh, my God. So those are the two shows you can find me, mostly on a weekly basis. I am also making my debut on the one and only Wilmy Hood's Gaming Beyond the Box this Wednesday. We've been going back and forth for a couple weeks. I told him it was going to cost him an Elite V2. He countered with, how about I just don't take you out with the rest of the trash, dildos, and bodies I deal with on a regular basis. And we met somewhere in the middle. So, I'm going to be showing up on Wednesday for my debut there. Looking forward to talking games with the guys. It is it's a hell of a show over there. I've been checking it out a couple of times the last few weeks, man. Down to earth gamers. I love it. I can't wait. So check me out on Wednesday over there. Thank you everyone for coming out. You power the show. Hope you're having as good a time with all this news as I am. I'm loving it. Cloud9ing it over here. I am so shady on Twitter at the Sesh Empire. That is one word. Hit the like button. Become an agent. I'll catch you later. Happy gaming.
Yeah, well, thanks for being here. And of course, last and no way least, rocking his awesome Resident Evil gamer pick or avatar that our very good friend Jay the Graphic God made for you. Dude, obviously, I had you on today's show. This is the second one. It's two shows in one day. Trust me, it's exhausting. And I know you want to get to playing some Call of Duty, which with your wife and a bunch of other people. So we're going to get you out of here. Do me a favor. Tell everyone where they can be assassinated by you if they choose, or of course, follow you on social media.
Well, you can get assassinated on Xbox because that's where I play. You can find me. Tempest Sun is my gamer tag. I'm at the Tempest Sun on Twitter. Panel is great. Fantastic show. Realize, Boom, we almost have the full standard panel here. Just whenever clowns can finally make it back, we miss them. But it's been a while since we've had pretty much the full crew. And Badbit, it was nice to meet you, dude. And
nice to meet you too, dude.
Yeah, and remember, if you have any interest in playing Phantasy Star Online 2, it's been an 8-year-long wait. Launches tomorrow, and it is free. You can go and download it right now. Go ahead.
We know what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. I started like a clan there, a guild, whatever you want to call it. I started that on there. If you want some, advice, I did the research on how to play the game, so you don't have to. So if you have any questions or anything, just let me know. Join me on there. And that plus the Game Stack. Everybody, Game Stacks tomorrow. That's when Microsoft starts their pretty much GDC show. So
yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. It's gonna be a great week for gamers, but more importantly, Xbox gamers. I want to thank everybody for coming out. We had almost 450 people watching live tonight, which is pretty impressive. I want to thank everybody's generosity once again. You power Double Barrel Gaming, and it allows me to do some giveaways. It allows me to keep up to date with the equipment I need to run these shows. And of course, I'm up to 3. And again, for the foreseeable future, I'm going to be adding an additional live show per week to kind of just give some people things to do, to calm people's fears during a real difficult time. So at least you can come hang out for 90 minutes and just talk about video games and enjoy yourself. And that's going to be happening. You're getting one extra Xbox Factor podcast per week starting. It started actually, we're going to do another one tomorrow for 60 minutes, me and Zemi Games. We're going to talk about some other things that we didn't get to. So you're going to technically get this week 3 Xbox Factor podcasts, which is the most I've ever personally done. It's probably the most podcasting I've ever done for my channel in the history. So of course, at the end of the week, I'm going to need a bit of a break because I'm getting exhausted already. But thank you for coming out, everyone. I like to close out the show, which I always do. That's something that my dad taught me when I was a kid, and it's really important to me. And whether it's important to you or not, that's fine. But 2 things that I live by, and I still live by this, and I live by it as I was a New York City police officer: treat others how you want to be treated. And the other thing, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends.